Here we go.
Terry said wait 1 second.
Yes, she did.
The assessor has requested we wait 1 second.
We're live anyway.
I think she's giving us a list.
I was a basketball referee, learned how to check the 3-second rule. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay, she's making you copies.
The big pad or the little?
Okay, here we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Grievance Day 2021. We're here at the Queensbury Senior Center. And it's a pleasure this year, as compared with last year, we're not wearing masks. I'm very happy that people in the audience aren't wearing masks. The assessor's not wearing masks, and it's a comfortable feeling. As I said a minute ago, ready on the right, ready on the left, ready on the firing line. I was on the rifle team in college. That's where we started every rifle week, every time we took.
Mr. Ball, do you have your grievance form?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So whenever you're ready, Steve, Mr. Ball's first.
Okay, I just wanted to give a little introduction.
Okay.
Never know when you get a chance to do this. Okay, for those who aren't familiar with the process, this is the Board of Assessment Review, and we're established by New York State law. Our job is to serve as a quasi-judicial body to listen to evidence presented by people who are unhappy with their assessed value, or who are just here for an explanation about how the value was determined. And we have to listen to evidence that grievance present to us, and listens to information from the assessor, and we take all that in, and we make be asking questions when you present to us. Then, at some time in the near future, we'll hold a private meeting, maybe a series of private meetings, to review all this information. Excuse me. We generally do not make decisions right here at the meeting. And the law requires that we meet privately without the assessor and without the grievance, behind closed doors. We make our decisions, we put them in writing, and that's the way that goes. And we do our very best to be fair to everybody. We're not taking the position of the citizens who are grievance. We're not taking the position of the assessor. The assessor sometimes smiles and sometimes she frowns. So how could you possibly do that? Well, we do it. And that's the way we are. Rather independent in this case. Okay, so this morning we have 3 sessions today, by the way. We have a morning session, which will run till noon, and we go from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and then from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock tonight. No questions? Here we go. Round ball. First, Mr. Ball, I have to swear in everybody. Will you stand and raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear that the information you are about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Please tell us your name and which property you're talking about.
Ronald Ball. I think it's 1095 West Mountain Road. Yeah.
And Mr. Ball, you need to give the grievance form to Steve, please.
Give the
Mr.
grievance form to
Borges.
Mr. Vargas. Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of it I couldn't fill out because I really didn't understand what you were asking, but I think I got
You won't be the
everything.
first to say that. You weren't the first. You aren't the first. Ten 95 West Mountain Road.
It's a vacant lot of 7.02 acres.
So one on the side of the hill. I drive by a couple times a day. Please tell us what your situation is and what the assessed value is, the tentative value,
Okay.
and why you're not happy with it.
All right. I don't really know where to start, so I'm just going to jump in the best I can. Originally, my property was all flooded with beautiful trees, oaks, pines, and everything else. It's a little hard to see. This is the West Mountain Road down through there. In 2010, National Grid went up and cut all these trees down in the front of my property. Over 150 trees they took down. I went up and stopped them after they got the trees down, because I didn't know they were cutting. I asked them what they were doing, they had no right of going onto my property. They said it was a mistake, we made a mistake, we realized that. That was a complete lie. What they were doing is, they were getting ready to bring power for the cell tower, which hadn't even gone to the board yet, to get approvals to build there. But they had to get, they knew the hardest thing about building the cell tower was getting the power there. And I didn't know this until after the cell tower was up. And one day I'm walking out of Sarah-Jen Drive, and I counted 9 power lines coming out of Sarah-Jen Drive, crossing the road, the West Mountain Road, over to the, that's where the water tower is, which is right next to my property. And then it went right down across my property where they took all those trees, and then it went right back across the West Mountain Road. I didn't know this until 2 years after the cell tower was up. If I'd known that, I would never gave them permission or agreed to it. But what they did, they put me in a predicament. They said the trees are already down, let's see if we can work something out. And I said, what do you mean it was a mistake? And they said the reason why it was a mistake was because we needed to run power to a grid or Great Escape, he says to me, this lawyer, okay, which I believe was representing Niagara Mohawk, which was actually being funded by Verizon. Verizon needed that power there, okay? So once they took all that border of trees down, the 150 trees down, okay, and I believe in what they said, but I says, I want all my power buried. I don't want any power poles up there, just like the rest of the neighborhoods in Leland Estates. I want that buried. He says, no, we're not going to do that. And they says, listen, I'm going to tell you right up front, you know, you can't fight this. He didn't say it this way, but what he says to me is that we got a lot more money than you, and we'll just tie you up in court until you can't afford it anymore, and then you're going to end up, we're going to end up getting the easement anyways through there. So I finally agreed on it, and I think I settled on like $25,000 or $30,000, and I let them go ahead because I know I didn't have the money, but I didn't know it was for the cell tower. Not a clue. But once they took those 150 trees down, Hurricane Irene come through in 2010 or 2011. And when it did, it knocked all these trees down on my property. I don't know if I have a photo of that. But it knocked down about 70% all pine trees. Most all the pine went over, okay? And so that goes to the planning board, Verizon does, to get approvals to build this cell tower there. Again, I didn't know that's why they had the power there, all right? But what happened is, I think they took down that natural line of trees there. One of these oak trees, which was close to the West Mountain Road, was a huge red oak tree. Beautiful tree, the most beautiful tree you ever saw. And they cut that right down, and I think once they did, that made that hurricane that comes through there, Hurricane do more damage than what was predicted, okay? So now, after that, 2011, I decided, my wife and I decided we wanted to build a house up there. But I haven't cleaned up the mess, okay? And to this day, there's still stumps, big huge stumps were pulled out of the ground or up there. But I keep picking at it. Over a century I've been working on this. And I removed as much as I could with the amount of money I had, and I had to pull off it. And then again, then Hurricane Sandy come, knocked down more trees. And then last August, we had another microburst that come through. And when that come through, it knocked down even more trees close to the cell tower. These huge pine trees that were kind of hiding the cell tower, and that opened the cell tower up. And so when that happened, again, I got another huge mess there. Again, it cost me $10,000 to clean up this from the microburst, all because I think, because the National Grid went in there and took those trees down without my permission. I believe that really what the whole thing was. But the cell tower, when they got approvals to put it in there, it was only approved for one ring and about 4 antennas on that one ring, okay? Now they got a second ring on there. And it's no longer owned by Verizon anymore. They sold it to American Towers, which American Towers can do just about anything they like. Now, when I decided to build up there, my wife and I had Tom Hutchins engineer go up there and design it to do it. After about a year, waiting for it, I said, you gotta give me something here. I says, it sounds like this is getting very expensive to build. And so he says, well, we got some more work. I said, give me something so I can go out and get estimates. I gotta find out if this is gonna be way too much money. So he gives me a draft of the paperwork that he had, and I went to 3 or 4 different contractors, and they all said to do the site work meant digging the cellar hole, bringing the power up, and cleaning up the property where the road was gonna be, nothing else. And they said it was somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 to do that, okay? So I talked it over with my wife, and he said there's gonna be more work, so what do you say we figure on $35,000 to do the site work? I had to know what I'm spending here. And so I go back to Tom, I says, okay, let's get the approvals, let's get it finished up. Almost 6 months later, finally we get approval. Right here, I come here, was late one day during another storm that hit, and I didn't have time to look at it. I says, give me your paperwork, I gotta go back to these contractors. I wanna get this house started, and I wanna see what their estimates now. I took it to 3 different contractors to do this work all the time, every day. The one that bid the lowest, $25,000, he comes back and he calls me, he says, you ain't gonna believe this. I said, why? He says, it's $150,000 plus to do the site work. I said, you gotta be kidding me, it can't be. And I took it to another one, Kingsley, a big, huge construction company. He said it could be up to almost $200,000 to do the site work, not put 1 2x4 up. I said, what's the reason for it? He says, you read this, what the town of Queensbury wants you to do is every shovel full of dirt they want me to remove from the property. I couldn't stockpile it. You look across the street and they got yards and yards and yards of fill. And you come by here on a windy day and there's a big, huge cloud of dust all over the place. But they allowed them to do it. And I said, well, why are they making me do that? Even my mailbox post, I could have had to put it in a wheelbarrow. I can't stockpile it on the ground. I know they wouldn't hold me to it, but it was written up this way, every pile. And so what they told me is that pile, that topsoil, the contractor said, not only you got to pay me to put it on a truck to haul it away, then when we come back to backfill, you got to pay me to go collect it and bring it back. And it depends on where we're going to put this and store it. And that's why it was so expensive. So I said to my wife, we can't afford to do this. This is outrageous. I thought about it for a whole year, and I kept thinking about it for another whole, and I got extension on it because after 1 year, your permit runs out. And so the second year, I said, let's forget it, and I bought a house in Leland Estates. And so we're happy with that. But the whole issue is, when Verizon got the permit to put this up, they told, and I went to the board meetings fighting it, and I didn't want it. They said that there was only going to allow 1 ring of antennas, 4 antennas, okay? And now, since Verizon doesn't own it anymore, they sell it to American Towers. They're getting away with anything. They're going to put another structure up. I went up there and see where they brought more power underground over into this fenced-in area, and they got the footings all set to put another structure up. And I said, why are you putting another structure up? Because we need another power source to the cell tower itself. I got some photos, and if you don't mind me walking up to show you.
Not a problem.
I don't know who to start with, but I'll start with you first. This is,
Do you want me to pass them?
yeah, if you would. That's the cell tower. That's from the street, I believe, okay? This is the power lines that they put in across my property, which they had no right of doing that, okay? Okay? This one photo that you can see is actually where I wanted to build a house. You can see that cell tower. Now you can see the second ring on there. That was only supposed to have 1 ring. They got a second ring, and now they're going to put a 3rd and a 4th ring from what I understand, once they got more power there, okay? Here it is from the street, okay? This is where they left my property, and they went back across the West Mountain Road. okay? This again. This is the cell tower again. This is from my property right here.
How close to your property is the cell tower? To the edge of your property to the cell tower?
To the cell tower, it's about 60 feet.
Okay.
This last photo is where Verizon was allowed to collect stormwater runoff on over 500 lineal feet of drainage or ditch and dump it onto my property. That's the pipe that was dumped onto my property, okay? But yet they wanted me to spend $150,000 to take care of stormwater runoff running on to the West Mountain Road. Okay, but yet the town of Queensbury, the Building Code Department allowed that. But me, they wanted me to spend $150,000 extra or more, up to $200,000 for it, okay? I think because the site costs so much, the site work costs so much, and I think you should lower my assessment. I want my assessment at $50,000.
Where is it currently?
Well, originally, back 2 years ago.
The form says 76.3, is that correct?
Right, Mr. Ball never came in and saw me. I didn't know any of this,
Okay,
so.
let me say this. You do have to fill out information here. So what would you like it to be? You just said,
Oh, I didn't know that.
you just said 50,000.
Yeah, that's important.
It's interesting because under the law, Board of Assessment Review
76.
can't drop the assessment any lower than what you say you'd be happy with. We can't raise it and we can't go any lower than the number you give us. So 50,000 is considerably below 76.
I would absolutely have reduced it if I had known.
If you had known the issue. Right.
Now, the power lines, are there poles on your property now?
Yes, they are.
There are.
But they got an easement,
They got an
okay? And so if you remember, Hurricane Irene, when it hit, all those trees come down, which they already had the power up, and knocked all the power out down through there.
You're talking like the north end of West Mountain Road, up toward exit 20?
Yeah, it's up toward that area, right across the street. You know where Leland Estates is? It's directly across the street. And that's where the water tower is and the cell tower, okay? Now, these power lines they put in, they did it in such a big rush. There's going to be a major problem up there. When they come out of Saragem Drive, with 9 big, huge power cables, okay? They come out and they go to this pole that's across the street, and then it goes like this, and it takes a quick left, and it goes down across my property and then back across. What they do, they're putting so much strain on that one pole right now. They got 4 anchors trying to hold that pole, and it's already bending because there's so much power on it. I'm telling you, that's gonna create a big, huge problem right there real soon. But they did it so fast that nobody, the fire marshal doesn't even ever go up there and see what's going on. They just leave it, let them take care of whatever they want. And I know the reason why. Because it's a $1 trillion industry. This $1 trillion industry should never allow to get away with what they did. But they know, and just like me, I learned. I hired a lawyer to go up and fight them, fight the cell tower. And the lawyer kind of just gave up on me. You can't fight them. I didn't know it. I spent thousands of dollars fighting it because I didn't want it next to my property, okay? But had I known that they needed that power to go up there, believe me, that wouldn't be there today. I would not allow it. And the thing is, when I agreed, for the assessment, and I don't know, I think it was around 25 or 30,000 to allow them to go across, I says, I want that check right now before you do any more, okay? The guy says, okay, yep, we'll get it to you as soon as we can. I said, all right. He says, but you gotta let us start work. I said, no, you don't start work. Not till I get the check, I says to him. And 2 or 3 days later, I see him up there with a pole digger, and they're digging and they're setting the pole in. I said, whoa, you can't do that. I go over and got my backhoe and put my bucket up against it. I says, I'm gonna knock this over unless I get the check. You guys better get out of here. And so the lawyer did, he showed up and he gave me my check and I just moved on to let it go. But they went from the shoulder of the road up to almost 60 feet onto my property, taking trees down. That is ridiculous, but they wanted to make sure that they had enough to keep the power lines away from the road, because if they ever widen that road right there, that they knew that the power poles would be too close to it, so they went even extra further when they took them down. So, my full show, don't want.
Thank you very much. We will consider all this information.
Okay?
Anybody have any questions? I say fortunately, I live fairly close to that property and I've watched it over the years. And whatever you said sounded correct. Remember when things happen. Okay, the question will be, what's it worth? That's, we can figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Mr. Ball, you'll hear in a couple weeks, you'll get a determination from them,
Okay, thank you.
okay?
Yes,
Requesting to reduce to 50,000.
he's requesting to be
Yes.
dropped from 70
76 to 50.
down to 50,000, yes.
I just want to make sure I got it.
Okay, Mr. Drush.
Thank you.
Mr. Jarash, is that correct pronunciation?
It is. Thank you. Good
Please
morning.
raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
I do.
Thank you very much. I think at least be seated.
And do you have your grievance form?
I do.
Okay.
Here's my grievance form.
Thank you very much, sir.
And just some additional information.
Okay,
Can you two share it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Thank you,
Sure.
that's a help, thanks.
Thank you. So I'll be sort of brief.
take your time.
I live at
We
eight-
started a few minutes late, and
Okay, I live at 8 Crownwood Lane, and the reason for me being here is basically, as you see on the first page of the handout, 20 undesirable real estate locations next door to you. And if you flip the page over, you'll see that the number 3 undesirable location is the fire station. I lived at Crownwood Lane since 1988. The fire siren went off at that time. I never grieved an assessment. Then the fire siren went off for 9 years and it was silent and things were fine. And 3 years ago, the fire siren went back on. And since that time, it's been nothing but a nuisance. The other item is the Google Maps that I did of you, that I presented to you, that shows you where the siren is and where my house is. And that's approximately 100 feet away. All the comparables that I received, none of those properties are anywhere near the fire siren. Some of them are a mile away, some of them are a half mile away, none of them are anywhere near where my property is. I would, there are a couple more articles that were in a Post-Star. We as a neighborhood did try to meet, we did meet with the fire department, we met with the supervisors, the ward person, trying to get it turned off because it affects our quality of life and it does decrease the value of our property. Any person looking to buy that property, for an example, yesterday it went off 5 times. I don't know how close you are. Oh yeah, and that's not even normal. During the summer, it could be 10 to 14 times because it's not just the fires, it's all the EMT calls get routed through there, even though there is no EMT.
They're still doing the noon whistle?
The noon whistle, yeah, everybody gets out their
6 p.m.
lunch
whistle, I
box.
think.
Yep, everybody gets out their lunch box and knows it's time for lunch. Just so you know, give you an idea of what it sounds like.
Oh, no.
Especially in the summer when you try to open your windows. Let me just get this running here.
Oh dear.
Oh, come on. And, you know, this is really the only reason for my complaint. I can't see how my property can ever increase in value with the siren there. All right. I'll only do it once, even though, come on.
Don't you love technology?
It worked in a car.
The good news is, I know exactly what it sounds like.
Because you live there.
I work.
Well, you're not, I know, but you're not that close to it.
Not anymore. Well, I was pretty close.
I'm a
I
little-
very often took the fire truck out.
Yeah, the
Big
sound
brush
would be pretty loud at your house too. It goes off. So you,
Oh, I
Hear
know,
it,
I
too.
know that thing.
oh, right.
All right, well,
You pass, have them pass that down when they're done.
When you're done, Sue would like to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
It's a lot louder in person.
well. Oh. It's playing through my phone, not through my speaker. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We understand.
Well, no, I think the sound of it would really irritate you.
I
Yeah.
know the sound.
Well, we have trees trees are out now. In the winter, it's even worse.
Oh,
And we've done everything we could to have it turned off, so.
And just from my point of view, Mr. Jarash, I actually met with him in 2018. He didn't come in this year, but he did come in 2018. Go ahead.
All right, wait a
Get
minute.
it now.
There we- Goes on.
I understand from reading the paper, I follow this all the time. I understand they only let it go up to its peak volume once now, is that correct?
This is what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
it used to go up and down for 30 seconds, a minute sometimes.
But it's the unwinding that goes on.
Oh, yeah, that's
Now,
right.
if you have your windows open and you're trying to talk on the phone or trying to talk in the house, you get this 5, 10, summertime, 14 times a day.
I know, if there's no response right away, 10 minutes later it goes off again.
And
oh, really?
I started to tell you that when I spoke with him last year, or 2018, I reduced his land value 40%. So his land value is only at 60% of value. The lots there are $52,000 and I have it assessed at $31,200. He went up 5% this year. He went up from 217 to 228.3.
I believe you're asking it to go back to 217.
Whatever. I mean, I can't get to the original assessment. You know, anybody that If I try to have an open house, it doesn't matter. You know, I'd have to have it at midnight
In the
because
future, potentially with better technology.
we've been through that.
I know, but potentially, it'll get better.
Right.
But other than that, 'cause sometimes the little minuters don't work just right, and sometimes you're different places, you hear the siren, and so firefighters respond to the siren.
When you complain to that, to the fire department, what is their justification for you?
None.
It's a long story.
You know, with cell phones and pagers and everything else. And I think the fire department down here, they're all notified by cell phones and whatever. That one, it's basically a power play, I'm sorry to say. We tried it with our town person, you know, our ward person. We tried it, but everybody didn't get it.
It's been happening for many years. Excuse me, 1 second. Yes, sir, would you like,
Being a fireman for 35 years, the reason for the site,
will
right
you
now...
tell us your name, please?
Vince Vermouille. We have pagers that go off prior to the siren. In our fire department now, we shut the siren down at 12 o'clock. We shut it down
12 in the morning or midnight?
at midnight. Get people complaining.
Which fire company you with?
Thomas Corners Fire Department in Glenville. We shut it down. But the reason for the siren is, God forbid the pagers don't go off, at least some people will respond. That's the reason why.
So how do you
I
respond,
understand.
oh, wait a minute, how do you respond after midnight when there's no siren? Exactly.
But there is a manual
Uh,
to turn it.
Yeah, sir, we went through all that with the fire department. And, you know, they turn the siren off 9 at night. They have 100% success rate without the siren on, all for the 7 years that it's been off. You know, they turned it back on. They never gave us a reason why it came back on. It was all of a sudden fixed. So if it was so important to the fire department, why was it off for 7 years? There was no answer. So, well, I'm not going to get into that discussion. So I'm just going to agree.
We
the
have
value of my property.
your explanation.
Thank you.
And we've heard already from the assessor.
Yep, and Terry has
We
worked.
have enough information to sit privately and make a decision.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for.
It'll be a couple of weeks, probably you'll get a notice.
Thank you.
Okay?
Let's have, when you're done with the folder, please.
Yeah.
Send that back over here and let them pile up.
Do you want
Thank you.
any of this in there?
They both outline.
Vincent Vermouille, is that correct? Did I pronounce your name right?
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Give you the folder.
Would you please raise your right hand? Got your turnout coat pants on here? Suspenders? Do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me come here.
Well,
Did you guys read the letter I wrote? Or you didn't see that?
we haven't
It's
seen
there.
any of that yet.
It's there, attached to his form. This is a house at 536 Lockhart Mountain Road. It is a contemporary home, built in 2000, 3,916 square feet.
Nice view of the lake.
Yes, a beautiful view of the lake, 2.44 acres. His assessment went from 683, it actually went down this year, to 671.4.
I'm contesting the land assessment she's got me down for. And
The
I'll
land is
explain.
assessed at 209.9.
Correctly. I'm contesting the land assessment, okay? And she brought me I asked for some comps. First of all, I called the New York State Division of Tax and Finance, and I spoke to 3 of the head people there. In the state of New York, there's no such thing as a view tax or view assessment. Okay? In New Hampshire, there was a law passed, and I got a copy of it here. It hasn't passed, they haven't really done it in New York, but again, there is no such thing as a view tax or view assessment in the state of New York or the state of New Hampshire. Here's a copy of their law in New Hampshire. she's trying to assess me for a view. And I'm trying to explain to her that our land is one of the smallest parcels on Lockhart Road, okay? I have, well, I think 2 acres, less than 5 acres of land there. And if you go up and down Lockhart Road, she's got all the land assessed, and I got copies here for you, from $10,000 to $500,000, just the land. Now, one guy bought a house there, I don't know, some lunatic from New York City came up and paid $1 million for this thing, and she's got the land assessed at this guy's at $500,000. Now, who in their right mind is gonna pay $500,000 for 5 acres of land? I don't know. But I'm looking at this as, it's kind of unfair for the rest of the Lockhart Road to pay for this guy's mistake for the next 20 years. If we can't sell his home, we're paying all his taxes here as an assessment. All right? She's trying to tax me on a view tax. There is no such thing as a view tax. Another part of my land is you got 2 drainage ditches that come down the road, and the water is dumped onto my land. The reason I have that view there is because the 2 drainages have killed all the trees in that area. And there's still a swamp down there when it rains. It's just destroyed all the trees there. So I'm looking at my land reduced by $60,000. Now, I got you some comps, and here's one of the things I want to explain to you too. If you go down to Highlands, I'll give you exhibit,
Oh, great. Yeah, he needs to do that.
okay, I'll take exhibit C1. Or exhibit C3, that's,
Find that.
exhibit C3 is Highland,
It's
the golf
attached
course
to
right
his
down the road
exhibit
here.
stack.
It's a development, okay? A development with beautiful homes. All the lands are assessed the same within a couple of $1,000 because one guy might have a couple of 100 square feet more than the other guys, okay? It's not, they're not charging more because one guy's looking at the golf course and the other guy's not. But what I'm basically trying to tell you is, everybody in that development, the land's assessed the same. I gave you other comps here in other areas. There's 2 of them there right here at Highland. There's another one in Lake George. It's on Chestnut Lane, which is walking distance to the lake. All them houses are assessed the same. The land, I'm just talking about the land assessment. Okay, not the house, but the land. They're all assessed the same as in Highland. Why is Lockhart Mountain Road, one side of mountain, land assessed at $24,000 and the other land assessed at $200,000? It's unfair. Now, I don't want to start a class action lawsuit. I'm here for a part, I come here on the weekends, I don't use none of the town schools or anything like that. But it's kind of unfair as a taxpayer. Why should I pay more because I got a view and the other guy doesn't have a view? And he's got 50 acres and I got 2 acres.
I've explained that there's no such thing as a view tax, and there's not any such thing as that.
So
But
why,
I tried to explain that if you had 2 identical houses, one looked at the back of a building and one looked at the lake, which one are you going to pay more for? You're going to pay more for the one that looks at the lake.
We don't,
That's not a view tax.
you don't call it a view tax.
No,
it's a view tax.
Our job is.
it's the value of the land.
Our job is to determine the fair market value of every property we look at.
Okay,
And obviously, a property that's got a view of the lake, if you like to look at a view, it is more valuable than a property back in the woods.
then you're saying it's a view assessment.
No.
I've been to court 3 times with the previous assessor, what was his name, Helen there?
Helen, sure.
Right, and I beat her 3 times in the court. I don't want to do this every 3 years, every time I get a new assessor. And if there's a view tax or view, then you give me credit every time it snows or rains, right? We gotta give me credit. If I can't see the lake, I want credit for that day. There's no such thing as a view assessment. It's been proven in New Hampshire, I've talked to New York State Tax Department, there's no such thing. Assess the land as it is. If I have
It looks
2
at the
acres-
lake.
The assessor is saying that she's not assessing the view tax.
Then why does my land cost more than the guy has 5 or 20 acres down the road?
The market value.
Market value.
What's the market value? Because
What you can
because of the view?
What you can
Yes.
sell your house for.
You just said there's no view tax, right? There's no view assessment?
It's not.
So,
There's also, we don't have anything called lake tax, but if you're on the lake shore and you have the right to use the lake,
that's a different story now, because you're on the lake and you have lakefront property.
Right, so you
This
have-
is woods. These are woods.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm gonna have to go to court again, but I gotta tell you something, if I go this time, I don't wanna start, but I'm gonna get everybody on Lockhart Road to sign something here, because it's kinda unfair that one side of the mountain's paying less than the other side of the mountain.
I haven't looked at any others, so I don't.
Well, I've got all the comps right here
Yeah,
for you.
we'll take your time.
Look at all the comps and
When we
see.
meet privately.
And look at
next week
Highland.
Or later this,
Look at Highland Golf Course. Beautiful homes right down the road here.
beautiful.
All the land is assessed the same in one development. Okay, within a couple of within a couple of dollars, because one guy might have 200 square feet more than the other guy. Why is Lockhart Road not like that?
We will discuss with the assessor and find out why she thinks it is and why, so forth. We'll go through that.
So all right, so I'm not gonna get some kind of a yes or no here, right?
Well, you don't, we don't do that. We don't make any
I
decisions.
gave you all the
on-
paperwork, all the comps.
That's helpful, picture's helpful.
I get a copy of the maps.
We need you, okay, we need you to sign here what assessed value you would be
I
satisfied.
told him, I just wanted to lower my land assessment by $60,000, that's all I want.
We have to
Put it
write it
has
on
to be
the
on this.
unfortunately.
We can't do it without you doing that, so that's
Okay, I'm
important.
sorry.
Property owner's estimate of market value, to your full market value, what do you think it should be right down there? Put on that line.
What's 60,000, what's that one?
What is it right now?
611.
We can't go lower
That's
than
the land assessment, right?
It's just semantics.
Well, we're looking at the total value, and you're saying you'd like to take it
I
off.
just sold two.
Take off the land, that's what I want to do.
Right.
I'm not fighting the
But
house.
still, it impacts the total value.
620,000.
I know, she's got a bargain.
620, would you be satisfied with? Okay.
I'm looking for, I want to change the land assessment. If you're going to assess somebody the same, everybody should be in the same boat. Nobody should be different.
We all will agree that we have to have a fair number.
You have to have a fair number. You know. I think the way she's approached this is the wrong way.
Thank you for taking time to come in.
No problem.
We definitely will look at it and consider it.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
You know, problem. I was in Vietnam too. That's another thing. I don't even put in down that I'm a veteran and I can get the tax rate. I don't even do that.
It's not your primary residence.
It doesn't matter. I could make it my primary residence, but I don't do that. I don't take any of your services either, man. I don't have any kids in the school here. I don't get no garbage picked up. I don't have no sewer picked up. The land's a piece of rock there I put a house on. Yes, I made a nice house out of a rock. But I shouldn't be assessed more than the guy down the road who has more land. All right? Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
good
for
day.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
We have, the next one's a phone call.
thanks for the phone call.
So I'm hoping you can all hear, I think we may need to put the microphone down.
How does he pronounce his name? Is it Mayday or Maddie?
Oh, the new one? I don't know.
Maddie?
Maddie?
Maddie, probably.
Okay, I'll put the microphone to it,
Oh, where these places are.
so we can hear it. And I'll call him.
What is the address?
Yeah.
Which one?
What
The
is
one that
it?
we're
Sorry,
about
I'll
to-
give you the folder.
Okay.
It's Glen Lake Road,
Glen Lake.
354 Glen Lake Road. I'll give you the folder and the comps here. He has not submitted a form.
Can we wait 1 minute? I promise that's all it'll take.
Peter, would you take a break from that, please?
There is no form. He was supposed to email it. He can still email it today. Yep.
He's on Glen Lake.
It's owned by Dorita Witt, Timothy Mady, and Daniel Mady, all 1/3 owners. So we'll be talking to Timothy is who I'm thinking it is. It is property that has 100 feet of lakeshore on Glen Lake. It is a ranch, was updated in 1982, 1,294 square feet. You have the comps in front of you.
And what is the proposed?
The assessment right now is $490,600. It went up 11%.
Do we know what he wants?
No, because he doesn't have a form.
Okay.
490.
How can he do this without a form by phone?
He's going to have to email it to me
Okay.
today.
Why does this say 374? Are these comps not, because it says 374.
Are you looking at the right ones? She's got the right ones down here.
Maddie,
No, look at the bottom date. Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, this is Terry Ross. I'm the assessor in the town of Queensbury.
Hi, Terry. How
Hi.
are you? Who do you have with you?
The Board of Assessment Review is here. The chairman, Steve Borges, board member William Mason, Susan Moynihan, I always say it wrong, Joan Jenkin, and Scott Sorger. We
Great.
did
Thank you,
notice,
Terry.
the first thing I have to ask you,
Dennis Scott.
excuse me?
I was saying thank you to everybody.
The first thing I need to ask you is we don't have your grievance form. That's a requirement, sir.
Ah, okay. Well, then I.
That needs, oh, well, you could email it to me as long as it got to me today. It has to be stamped in today.
Okay, very good.
And,
Well, then I'll do my,
and the main part of that grievance form is we need to know how much you're asking your assessment to be reduced to.
And
Okay.
make sure
Okay.
you sign the bottom of it and
Yep.
fill that out.
So you need to be able to tell the board that, and Steve will swear you in now.
Do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
yes.
Thank you very much. Please tell us why you're here and what you think the assessment should be.
We have had essentially a vacation property on Glen Lake since 1999. And this looks like a high increase in the assessment. And I wanted to point out a couple things to you, and I sent 4 pictures along, but I assume that you're probably not viewing those pictures.
I didn't get anything.
I don't see anything.
They have the
Okay,
folder.
Okay, then I'll
There's 3
resend those
pictures
with
here.
the proper form. And my premise is that, all lakefronts not created equal. We're at a shallow end of the lake that's bordered by vacant property and then the town. So it's very shallow, and it's also not kept up well. And also the property has significant retaining walls that are going to need replacement at some point, and the other 2 pictures were pictures of the walls that were starting to come under somewhat ill repair. And so I thought that given the increase and the change, that, about maybe a third to a half that increase, given what's going on, I guess, in upstate New York from COVID was appropriate, but the 11% was too high.
I just want to answer that, it's Terry. Yeah, the average of the town went up about 10%, sir. The lakes definitely went up more. We did try to not, as much as possible, not use any, what I'm calling COVID sales. So sales that are, early fall on. Sometimes it was unavoidable to use 1 or 2, but we certainly didn't use all of those super increased purchase prices to put the values on the property for this year.
Right, okay. And I guess my second concern was in trying to keep the lake clean, because we have an emotional attachment to it. I'll never sell this property in my lifetime at least. And I'm interested in even purchasing the property next door that you'll see in one of the pictures needs to be cleaned up and the lakefront needs to be maintained better. And I'm concerned that, the tax assessment I see on my lakefront will apply to that lakefront as well, which is a vacant, unimproved lot, especially if I consolidate it with mine.
That's a good point, and the assessor will tell us, I'm sure, what the front footage assessments are on Glen Lake now.
I gave them to you last night, and I'd be glad to give it to you.
We're 100 feet, and the neighbor is 65 additional feet.
And Glen Lake Lakeshore right now is $5,600 a foot for the first 50 feet. The next 50 feet, 20, okay, yeah, you got those, okay. And we are only valuing him at 80% of value because it is sort of restricted there with the shallow water and with the town land. So the lakeshore is only at 80% of value.
80%.
Okay. And would that be maintained if I purchased that lot?
I don't know, I didn't look at the lot, which lot next door?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Which lot are you, I'm not sure which lot you're talking about.
It's the Diane Yeager Hayes lot between us and the town.
Okay.
Their assessment is about $4 or $5. Actually, I got to look at it on a square footage basis for lakefront. 20. I have
Diane Yeager, she's only assessed at $24,700. Her
Yeah.
waterfront is 60 by 94, and it's unbuilt.
Yeah.
It's an unbuildable lot per Craig Brown. So that assessment's only 24,700 because it's unbuildable.
Right.
When you say it's
Right. If I
unbuildable,
buy that and consolidate it, does it
You
go
could-
up to?
No, that would be just extra land for you, sir. It wouldn't be another buildable lot.
it's
Okay.
Craig-
Even if I
So
consolidate.
if you consolidated those together, it's not like your land assessment on the other property would double. This is just going to be some extra land for you.
Okay, very good. All right, I will, last question is, how many of these grievances do you think will be successful? I don't want to waste your time.
It's not a waste of time, no. Well, I sent out 12,000 change of assessment notices to residential properties. I probably have met with 300 or so, and I think we have 25 appointments today.
Okay, great.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
I'll go ahead and make that application, and we'll see what happens.
Yes, I
Thank
believe.
you very much for your time.
I believe that my staff just checked, and they maybe have the pictures now, they'll put it in the folder. But they do need to know what you think you could sell that property for, what your assessment should be, the market value.
I honestly have no idea because I'm not planning on selling it.
I know, but they need that in order to be able to make a decision, because they can't go lower than what you ask for.
Okay, very good. Then I'll do that, I guess, comp calculation and get something to you before close of business. Is that okay?
That's perfect. And you have my
And
email?
I'll fill up.
Or you may be emailing to Tammy?
I was emailing to another person yesterday, but I'll find your
Okay.
email as well as Tammy's.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great.
I don't know if the
Again,
board
I
has any
appreciate
questions for you.
Any other questions?
No, and I appreciate the board and
Just
your
make-
efforts. Thank you so much.
Just make sure that you fill out that form and sign the bottom where, with that number.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Have a good
Thank you,
day.
gentlemen and ladies. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're back. We're 3
Miss-
minutes
Miss-
early.
And Robin's here, so we can move right along to the 10 o'clock. And I've got to give you her folders.
Oh, Mr. Borgos, you caught us up in time somehow.
We're all on the air.
Robin, did you bring the actual grievance forms? Oh, actually, you emailed them to me, didn't
Yes, I
you?
emailed them and I also brought them.
Good.
We will have these memorized
Do you
within
need
10
this for
minutes.
the other folder?
Not true.
I don't think you want to do that, actually.
This goes to one of the other things I was told. 9:45 appointment.
That was today's. See, this is an old one. Look at the date on it.
Oh, right.
This is her reform. You only have the front pages of the forms?
Yes, I wanted to talk about things other than just the comps, because we have.
No, but you needed the, those, she put down the,
I didn't
what she
want-
wants. No, she didn't. She cut off the forms about what she wants. We have some extra forms. She could fill them in.
That'd be important.
Did I miss, I didn't fill in about comps, because,
No, you didn't need to fill in on comps, but did you put down what you thought the assessment should be?
Yes.
I think it's cut off there.
oh, it's cut off, I have it here, though. It just got cut off of your printer?
If she has it, let's put it right in.
Dear.
I think she said she has them.
All right, here's 23, 183, and 38. So they should-
183, did you say?
183, yeah. Oh, okay, well, I won't be able to look at it, it's my only copy.
No, this is the review application. This is not the grievance form.
Oh,
You have to have action. We have them. And you can fill them in. Let's see.
And you just need to do that today.
We have to do that like now. She has a half hour, so.
I have to do it before the half hour ends or after?
No, you can go ahead and do the talk, yes.
Okay,
Please tell us your
Okay.
name, and
Okay.
address, and I need to swear you in.
okay. I'm Robin Inwald. There are 3 addresses, they're all adjoining properties,
Hey, Jess.
but they're done separately, which is 23 Gun Lane, 38 Gun Lane, and 183 Cleverdale Road.
Yeah, this is for Cleverdale.
Yeah.
One of our board members lives in that area, so I'm sure he's familiar with it.
A little bit.
Okay, now, do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. You're all sworn in. Now, I recall you may have been here a year or 2 ago, or 3 years, or maybe
Yes, unfortunately.
4 or 5.
Thank you.
The situation of some construction with some material that turned out to be hazardous, as I recall.
Yes.
Would you fill us in briefly, please?
Sure. It was polyurethane spray foam insulation that was put in when we had a cottage from 1960. And my parents built a garage in 1985, I think it was. And so I wanted to make it a handicap accessible without steps and renovate the cottage. And so we connected the cottage to the garage, which is only 25 feet away, and we added a 20 by 20 porch. It was to stay a ranch, a small place for retirement for my mother and then for us. And what happened was, in the process of it, the modern thing was the polyurethane spray foam insulation. The insulation was installed in March of 2010 and started stinking. We moved in actually in 2011 in November. And then the day we moved in, it started to smell when we turned on the heat. And when you turned on the heat, it would really stink. You'd open the windows and the doors, and then it would dissipate, but as soon as you closed up everything, it stunk more. And I called Bill Underwood, you probably all know, and he came over and said, this is not of animal origin. And I said, but it smells like a dead animal, and I didn't. Anyway, I was smelling in between the 2 fireplaces. Long story short, we eventually discovered that it was actually the spray foam insulation was mixed incorrectly. The guy had a made-up formula. He was somebody that said he was a chemist, but a chemical engineer. In fact, he had 2-year associate's degree in chemical engineering, and it took him 3 years to get, and he really wasn't a chemist. And he was working with some other people that were sketchy, and he got involved with somebody in our neighborhood who started a company using the equipment and the formulations and selling the spray foam. And I ended up, and they didn't mean to wreck my house or ruin our lives and at all, and I'm not angry with them, but their insurance company, and there were movies all over the YouTube about other people with bad houses. And so finally I hired this lawyer, and for 3 years he lied to us. Didn't know why believed every word he said. He wasn't coming to meetings with Judge Krogman, he wasn't doing any work, and he was lying to us. And finally Judge Krogman dismissed our case at a hearing when the guy didn't show up. So then I found out about it, went to the town, went to the county, and said, what's going on here? Found out that the case was dismissed, all these lies. So I immediately hired another lawyer who's a wonderful lawyer, still our lawyer. And we got our case back, but meanwhile the people that wrote the affidavits to try to keep us from getting our case back, it was this guy who had come over our house. And he had recommended the lawyer who had disappeared, moved to Nantucket, got a ton of money. I know I'm doing a PowerPoint slideshow movie about this. And so he eventually, I gotta get going on this, he got disbarred in both New York State and Massachusetts because we went to appeal. Of course, even though Judge Krogman reversed his decision and gave us back our case, I had skin cancer because I had put my face into the two fireplaces, and that's where the foam was heated up and was coming out. I kept thinking it was dead animal, and the dead animals would dissipate, because Bill said if it is dead animals, they'll be gone in 2 weeks. So I kept smelling it, and in 2014 I got skin cancer, several different ones, and as soon as I told the lawyer that I had skin cancer, I had rashes and eye problems, but as soon as I told him I'd been diagnosed with skin cancer, 1 month later he waived to the other lawyer who he was working with, obviously, he waived my personal injury case without telling me. He just said, oh, she's not going to apply, she's not going to do personal injury. So I had to go to the appellate court, even though Judge Krogman reversed his decision. We had to go to appellate court because these other lawyers said, oh, we're going to appeal this. You can't get your case back. So we went to the appellate court. Well, the appellate court judges in Albany were horrified. And I think they're the ones who reported him to be disbarred. So Chris Humphrey was disbarred in both states. Meanwhile, we had to start over. And so we started the case over again, and then they stalled, and justice delayed is justice denied. We're still in the case. We finally, then they brought in the installer and tried to make him another defendant, which they just got. Then there was COVID. All of this stuff was going on. They never gave us the report, because when they did a report, when they sent their guy, he wanted to flush the house out. So they hired a blower door person to come in. Well, the blower door guy canceled the first day, and so the other guy was coming to do the air quality, and they canceled it. And I knew what they were doing, because they weren't supposed to have a blower door guy blow the air out of the house. Turned out it was a really bad idea of theirs, because what happened was the next day, they refused to do the testing that day, and at that point they told my neighbor friend never to talk to me again, because they didn't want us communicating. And so the blower door guy came a couple days later on October 31st, 2012. It was 2012. And he came in and he blew all the air out of the house with the fans. And then a half hour later, the guy comes in from Robeson and does testing. Well, they never gave us the testing. Why? Because it turns out, from my expert, that if you do blow the air out of the house, it pulls the air from the toxic polyurethane spray foam into the house. So probably their testing was really, really bad, because ours was 300% formaldehyde, all these other bad chemicals when we did it. So the case is in discovery right now with Judge Offerdew, and they keep delaying, not sending us the information. They're refusing to send us the Robeson report, which doesn't matter. But the point is that we won't even have depositions because of COVID probably until the fall. And a couple of my people have died, and that's what they wait for. So that's one case. That's just one side of the equation. So that case is ongoing. The house is still, it's full of mold because the insulation, we tried to fix the house, we gutted everything. I can send you the SPF. I can send you a movie of it, because now I have that. I've learned a lot of stuff about how to do that stuff. But We tore the house apart down to the studs, started over basically, and rebuilt it. And at that point, the tarps failed for the contractor that was working at that point, and the whole house was flooded. And so the new insulation, which was bad insulation, was soaking wet as of June 28th, 2013, which is when we started to tear the roof off. We had to tear the roof off because it was all in the rafters and you couldn't really get it off. You had to take the roof off. So the house was ruined again with that insulation. Then we fixed that, sort of, and then there was condensation, and that was in 2016, I think. And all of a sudden, that big snowstorm, where there was 5 feet of snow one night, the house was heated, and so the condensation happened, and it was like a jungle, and the water dripped through the insulation, and that became mold. So now, the house can't be changed because we're just in discovery, we're not even in depositions. And so to make sure the mold doesn't get worse, we have these expensive, we just had 2 new ones that we bought of those dehumidifiers and humidifiers. So depending on the season, we have to control this house 100% to make sure that the mold, which has been established all through the attic, doesn't get worse. So,
Or we switch to another property. What happened when you first came to us? Was there an adjustment made?
yes.
So your taxes were lower, your
Yes, there was.
assessment was lower?
Yes, it
Yes.
was down to.
It went from 1.6 to 1.1.
Right.
And actually, I have been in contact with Robin. She sent me information. I had assumed that by now it would have been, the stuff would have been eradicated.
So what's happened now? Has the number gone back up?
So that is what I thought.
Right.
When she talked to me, I said, no, it didn't go back up. So I sent her a new change back down to $1.1 million, which where she was. But she thinks she should be lower than that, I believe.
I thought it was 1.5.
I'm sorry, it is 1.532.
Right,
I'm sorry, it
That's
is.
the difference. I
It was
think
back, it was up at like 1.9, I believe,
It was
with the original
1.1.
one. No, the original one that I sent you
Right, yes.
for the
it's
change,
higher
for the
than
change,
that.
right.
it's
She's
even-
back down to 1.5 now.
Are they, I know you're not sure with everything yet, are they going to be able to repair the home, or are they going to have to tear down and start
I
again?
was thinking of that. The way to fix it is to tear it down.
Yeah.
I don't have the emotional strength. I'm going to be 70 in January. I'm exhausted.
You have,
And
you
there's-
have ties, you have emotional ties to the
There's
home.
more that's going on that I want to say before we stop, because there's a whole other new chapter that's happening right now at
Oh.
that property. So I'm just asking, I guess I would go back to say, I feel it should be at 1.1, that it should just stay where it was. There's no reason that it went up 400,000 because it's still unmarketable. I would love to have it be equal to my new neighbors, the family. I would love that. It was a correct assessment if my house was good. It really was. I'm not arguing about that. Clearly, the houses have sold around there for 2 million and so forth.
This is the 183,
No, well, this
This is
is
38.
38 Gun Lane.
38,
Um,
and you're looking for one,
I'd like it just to go back to the way it's been, 1.1, and that's it, because it's certainly deteriorated since the 1.1. The house value is not improved because of I'm sure there's more mold, but we do a good job. I mean, things on all the time. My electric bill is $500 a month, and I'm there, Marty and I are there, we watch TV, and we have a single laptop, and there's nothing that we do. But we have to climate control year-round, whether we're there or not. So it's just really hard. And that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is what's going on right now. And that is, you may be aware of the new development that's going on at 12 Shore Acres. It used to be the original farmhouse to our barns that we have at 183 Cloverdale Road. And what's happened is the trees have been cut that kept us completely private, and the Japanese knotweed has bled from big beds on this property into our property to 38 Gun Lane. It's 4 feet away, and I think you have the pictures if anyone wants to see them.
I have the slideshow.
Not now. There's a lot of slideshows, and I can send you one more about the spray foam, which is really interesting. But the knotweed has grown 4 feet. It's all their knotweed, and it's grown in 4 feet from our house foundation, from the back of our garage now. And it's very worrisome. I've done all kinds of research. Now I'm an expert not only in building materials, but also in herbicide and treatments of knotweed and invasive species. And the knotweed can't be allowed to get into the foundation. It can crack the foundation. It's really bad. And the DEC doesn't have anything to do with it. The town doesn't have anything to do with it. I had to go through a lot of channels to find the people that really know, or the Cornell Cooperative Extension Program, prison program. And they have several branches. Their headquarters now is in Keene Valley, New York. And they finally visited, their person visited. They have 3 people that are experts, that are independent people that do this work. And it's clear that what's happened over at 12 Shore Acres, they have an excavator, Chris Crandall, he's a good guy, but he's excavating all of the knotweed at the shoreline. And ours is all up the sideline of both properties, 38 Gun Lane and 183 Cleverdale. They're excavating it. They don't understand that the last thing you do is construction on knotweed. And they don't understand, because I tried it once, that you can't go down 2 feet. Because the ribosomes, what are they, rhizomes, they're 9 to 15 feet deep, and they go laterally 70 feet. And we have little clumps that went all the way across our only 78-foot shoreline. So this is really bad. So they were just there yesterday, and they are very close to where we sent them a letter and said, please stop, don't touch this area that's the natural vegetation between our properties, because there's Japanese knotweed all the way up to about 50 feet from the lake. And they're right there. They took part of it down yesterday. They pushed it over. Of course, when they push it over, which they did on 183 Cleverdale Road, well, it grows. Now it's grown into our pipes. So over there. So this is something where I'm trying really hard to work with everybody, but the town doesn't want to get involved with landscape. And the hardest part about 38 Gun Lane, now I'm just going from properties, but the hardest part about 38 Gun Lane is that the 12 Shore Acres owners have put a plan in to put giant green arborvitaes from the lakefront all the way up to Cleverdale Road, spanning the 2 property sidelines. Well, giant green arborvitaes happen to be arborvitaes that grow up to 60 feet tall. Our house is 28 feet at the highest level. The second floor, we put a second floor addition because we couldn't be sure we could fix the first floor. So we put 3 feet of space, and then we built a half addition with this weird long hall, because it's only half the side of the house. But even there on the second floor, the windows will all be blocked off if those arborvitaes are planted at 10 to 12 foot high to begin with. They grow 3 to 6 feet every year, and they'll be 5 feet from our property, from our house, because our lot is 5 to 7 feet from the sideline, because it was a cottage that the previous owner put there when he owned the farmhouse. So we're going to have 60-foot arborvitaes, and because it's at a right angle, which is hard for you to see, you have to see the pictures, but because our properties are at a curve in the lake, when you put something down the sideline, for this property, it looks like it's in the middle. So when you look at the lake, the actual lake view, which is the reason we live there, it's going to block half the lake view.
You're going to lose your view.
We're going to lose not only the side view, which is the winter view, it's filtered because there's beautiful stuff there. They've cut down the whole property. But if they leave, the only part they've left, and that's what I'm fighting for, please leave this part, because it's a full shield in the summer, and in the winter, no one's there anyway, and you get a beautiful winter view. And because I had to do the second floor, I put 23 windows that would look at the winter view, because we're there.
Is the view important to you?
It's the only thing I no longer.
Does it create an extra value?
Pardon me?
Does it create an extra value?
Oh, stop.
Yeah, that was a different
Well,
case.
We had a case earlier, talking about views, and of course, there's no tax based on the
Right,
view you
I
have,
understand.
but it does raise the value of a piece of
I
property.
used to be a sailor, a ski racer, all that stuff. I have a bad back. I've been in front of this board before. I tried to get a handicap ramp in front of the planning board. They wouldn't give it to me. Now there's all this stuff that's going on next door without variances, that need variances, like pools. You're not allowed to have a pool that's more than 100 gallons of water, right? There are 2 pools and a spa that were approved without a variance. And it's because the code is in 3 different places. One code says that you can't have a pool in the front yard. Another code says that the front yard of waterfront property is the waterfront, and if you face a road, that's also a front yard, so 2 front yards for that property. You're not allowed to put a pool in a front yard. So the zoning board, we finally got the zoning board to say no big pool, because they want a big pool. There's still a spa and 2 pools on this site plan, And we're asking, we have a letter, which I don't know if I sent you, but I do have a copy of it. 18 people signed it.
I gave it to,
Oh, good.
I gave them the letter about 183
Begging the
Cloverdale.
town board to look at this, because 12 states have rules. They call them spite hedges, and they have rules against hedges that act as fences. They say in the law, you can't separate between a deadwood fence, which is your fence rule, that's 4 feet up to 50 feet and 6 feet on the sideline, right? In the town of Queensbury, you can't separate deadwood from livewood. A livewood hedge is the same as a fence legally. It's considered a private nuisance legally. But I'm trying to get the town to come in line with all the other states that have realized that in a place like a waterfront property, where I don't ski or really sail much anymore, so what am I've left? At almost 70, I'm very happy. I'm loving where I am. I want to see the winter view. I don't even have a summer view. I just want to see the winter one. And this is going to be destroyed for no reason, because there's no reason for them to do that, except that they don't want to see our house all year round. They don't see our house 3 seasons, but they have built a big L-shaped thing. Our house, because of the way it is, it looks like it's the U of a Caribbean resort looking at the lake.
Are you concerned for all of these parcels?
Yes.
Relates to the view and everything kind of goes together?
Well, they don't go together. I tried to put separate reasons on each thing. The cottage, 23 Gun Lane is a cottage that's not adjoining 12 Shore Acres, but it's next door. It's really dilapidated. We haven't been able to fix it. I've spent all my money on lawyers. The cottage is, I thought it was 1923. It says 1955, but it was originally built earlier, I think, and then moved. So I think it's a 1923 cottage that was moved in 1955. And so its foundation is terrible. There's water, I wanted to tell you, there's water in the crawl space. Nobody even wants to go in the crawl space nowadays, so, but we have all those, I did go down once. It's very complicated to turn on and off the water. So the crawl space is wet. The mice keep going down the chimney. We have Bill Underwood come. I mean, we try to mitigate. There are dead mice every winter. It's not nice, and my children won't stay there. So they just won't. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not condemnable. It's just that
I don't know if you can see that.
it's not nice.
That's
And
the cottage?
That's the cottage.
it's not it's a sweet cottage, but it really needs to be taken down at this point. It's so old.
And I reduced it. Last year it was 175,000. This year, the first notice I sent was 165.6, and then I reduced it to 165.6, and I reduced it again to 156 after meeting with Robin.
How much waterfront does that have?
That has no
No
waterfront.
waterfront.
So that current is 156?
The current 23 Gun Lane is 156.
Right, and the reason I was asking for 136 there is because the value of the house previously and now, I thought it's between the 128 was the value a while back, and then it was 150 or something like that. I just split the difference and said, I think it's a tear down, but yes, it is a cottage. It's standing. I'm not going to tear it down. That would bring contractors and problems and new septic, and I can't.
Has anyone ever lived in it?
Yes, my
Stayed?
daughter got married. It was the groom's headquarters
Oh, okay.
in 2013.
Have you-
Yes, we've always had people there. It's the last few years, my kids have had babies. They need to have a different kind of atmosphere than kind of a smelly cottage. And so it's
Not
just-
used now, but
It's not used now, but it's usable. It's just that I'm the kind of person that would want to rent it, to live there, I think.
and you haven't done any improvements on it?
Oh, no. We've done trying to shore up there was a storm and the whole floor is crooked. Come over and see it. You know, you walk and you say, something's wrong with this house. Well, we did shore it up underneath. So there's nothing wrong with the house in the sense it's not going to fall through.
Is there a house on each parcel now?
Yes.
Yes.
There's
There's
a
the
house
big one and you got the cottage. Are you living in the big one now?
living in the big one, yes.
And you have it walled off with plastic or something?
No, we just have these dehumidifiers going all the time. You know, there's 3 big ones, and so we've got 2 in the attic, and we've got another one in the basement, and we just switched up and gotten 2 new ones, trying to make them as strong as possible. They're commercial grade. They're the size of residence, but they're the highest we could get. And so that's going on. That's maintenance. You have to call them in to do all that stuff. But it is what it is, and I'm just saying that our value of our house now, for me, and for anybody that buys a lake house for a view, if that hedge gets in there, if the town doesn't change their code. If I can't get the neighbors to talk to me, they won't talk, I said, could we please talk? I don't even think they realize about what they're gonna block. Because we have a right-of-way on 183 Cloverdale Road, it's been there forever, since 1978, when the properties were sold as one piece from the farmhouse owner. And that right-of-way goes all the way down to 38 Gun Lane. Well, Dan Davies told them several times, the new buyers, that there was a right-of-way. They didn't see it on their survey because the previous owner did a sleight of hand thing that was not, the owner who he gave the right-of-way to at 38 Gun Lane moved to 183 Cloverdale and sold to my parents. And then in 1985, the owner of the big farmhouse wanted to sell without the right-of-way, so he got the guy that was the one who had originally owned the cottage to sign off on the right-of-way on a deed. But he didn't have the right, because it was with my parents at that point. It was 38 Gun Lane. And so it didn't show in the deed, but legally it's full right-of-way. We've used it all the time, ever since the beginning. And so they did a plan for the town and went to the town. I got a notice all of a sudden and saw the basketball court was right on our right-of-way. So they moved the basketball court, and we made a deal that they would put a little driveway in that wouldn't go all the way down, but I would accept that, so we could get to the barns, because we can't get to the barns without that right-of-way. We can't repair them. And so those are the barns, the red and white barns on Cloverdale Road that we're trying to preserve they're the only good barns on that road, and probably in the whole area. So I wanted to have a museum there, but it's residential, so you can't. But in any case, that driveway was supposed to be built at the beginning of their construction. They didn't do it. They marked it off and didn't do it. And there's a letter into the town that said they were going to do it at the beginning of the site work. So I don't know what to do. I called in the beginning when I first found out about what they were doing to talk to them, and didn't answer two of my calls, and then had their lawyer call me and say, what do you want? And so I was going to invite them to coffee, but I just said, I'm just trying. So it's very difficult. I recently just asked the owner, I saw her, I said, could we talk? She said, I'll see if I have time later, and never. So obviously, it's just, they want to do what they want to do, and they've got the permission. The hedges are not an issue for the town because they say they don't want to get involved with landscaping. But this is landscaping that's really damaging to our property and to anyone else's property, which is why we
You
had
have a lawyer now.
we had 18 signatures. Well, my lawyers are my two son-in-laws right now, because with the lawyer for the spray foam is charging big dollars right now as we're getting into the deposition phase. And so my son-in-law is in Boston, he's barred in New York, and the other one is working in land management for the Department of Justice, but he cannot work for us because he's got his
Federal.
Yeah, it's federal, so he can't represent us. So, but that's who we have, and so we sent a letter and said, please don't do this, cease and desist excavating. But they already did excavate part of the shoreline area by us and did disturb the knotweed, and now I have to go home and figure out what to do today because I don't know what to do. I'm trying, we don't want to have another litigation. I can't do that.
So what we need you to finish filling, do those forms. You can do them right out in the entranceway. Jess will help you. And make sure you put on that front page, the bottom thing, on that front page, what you think the assessment should be.
Okay, so I put it on here, so what I should do is just...
Yeah, put it on there.
Copy. Is
Yep.
there anything new I need other than what I already put on these?
Nope.
Okay. I'm sorry for that.
And just for the board, 183 Cloverdale is a brick ranch that was built in 1981. It's 2,584 square feet, 1,900 square foot finished basement. That assessment right now is $427,000. That was reduced from, last year it was 480. And when then talking to, then we made it 443, and then talking to Robin, we made it 427. 23 Gun is the small cottage that I showed you the picture of. That was 175 last year, went to 165.6, and then down to 156. 38 Gun Lane is the big house on the lake. That was 1.1 until because of the foam issues. This year, thinking that it was corrected, I raised it to 2.246. After speaking with Robin and talking to her again, it went back down to 1,532,800.
may I just say about 183 Cloverdale, because I didn't get to do this yet. I realized this morning that the status of it should be seasonal, because there are no furnaces, there's electric heat in the ceilings. The guy that put it in.
I have electric heat.
Right, but it's in the ceilings, and it was from 40 years ago. All those are broken and expensive, and so we put heaters, we put propane. We changed the wood burner fireplaces, 2 of them, one in the basement and one on the living room, to propane, and we added a stove in the master bedroom. But the other 2 bedrooms have no direct heat, and the heat from the fireplaces doesn't go more than 15 feet. We had a guy come to visit us, and he couldn't sleep in the basement, even right near the fireplace. It was too cold in the wintertime. We've never used it as a permanent residence. It's a seasonal home. There's no place, because of the finished basement, there's no place to put a furnace. The only place, when I tried to find out, before we got involved with 38 Gun Lane, which had been my mother's at the time, when I did research on how to put heat in that place, I was told the only place you could put a furnace was in the, just like the ceiling, in the drop ceiling in the main floor. Well, that furnace would be pretty loud, and so that was not really feasible. So you really can't put a standard heating system in there. I guess you could put some kind of, you can't put radiant heat. Anyway, it was so difficult, we never did it. So that is a seasonal home, and I realized it's a residential.
Well, we had it as having electric heat. Now we know that it doesn't.
Right, so please come over, because they're broken, and when they do turn them on, they go.
For that one, though, I already had it at 25% of functional obsolescence, because she was telling me how bad it was, so.
But you can come over. It was a nice little 1978 or whatever it was ranch house, but nothing's been updated. No painting inside since it was built. Same thing, no upgrades whatsoever, because we just liked camping. So for us, it was a luxurious camp.
So you haven't done any improvements at all in it?
Not at all. Not to, all the improvements that ended up to be de-improvements were done to 38 Gun Lane, because that was the lakefront.
Right.
You see, my son and his family are at 183 Cloverdale Road now. He's got 2 kids. My daughter with 3 children is down at the lake house, or they have used the cottage, but again, as I said, they don't want the babies in the cottage. And
What's the request reduction for 183?
183 was to 350, because it's seasonal. I don't know if you could lower it more. I just made that guess, because as I said, I just realized this morning as I was filling out the wrong forms. I'm sorry, I was in Schenectady cleaning out my mother's house, and so I've been not in a good mood for this. I came home yesterday night, and I had this morning since 2:30 I've been up, filling out the wrong forms. But anyway, so I thought 350, that's what we paid for the place. We thought, when it was really in much better condition in 1993, after my dad died. We bought out John McCall, who was the guy who cut down all the trees. So we've had a couple of neighbors who cut down all the trees. But anyway, so I just put it at that, because that seems to be the price that would be fair, unless you can lower it more, which I'd love, because we're going to.
You can't lower it more than what you're asking for, so on that official form,
Well,
take that into
What's the
consideration.
difference between seasonal and residential in terms of?
It depends, once I would only compare it to seasonal homes,
Oh, okay.
so.
All right, well, I'll make a guess, and you can raise it whatever you want. I mean.
Can't go lower than what
Okay,
it,
I'll keep that in mind. All right. So I don't know if I have every point, but you get the gist. It's a family camp. We wanted the first part to be the beautiful part. It isn't, but it's lovely still to look at the view that's there now that may disappear. So hopefully the town can look at the pool codes and realize that they can't let people do pools without a variance. And then, hopefully they'll look at the hedge issue and realize that legally they're going to lose. We'd have to sue, but we'd win, for private nuisance. But why make us sue again? I didn't want to sue.
okay.
Thank you for taking your time.
Thank you for listening.
Sometime in the next week or so, we'll discuss all this in private session, which we have to do by law, and we'll come back with a decision.
Thank you for listening. I know it's been rambling. I'll be tired.
Just leave that, you can just leave those forms with Jess.
I will. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you, Robin.
Hopefully my assessment, thank you. Hopefully it'll go way up really soon.
Mr. Boychuk?
Mr. Boychuk, 10:30, we are 3 minutes behind. Sorry about that.
This is.
Hold on
this
one
house.
second.
That's his insurance form, there's his insurance.
I see this. Pass it down.
Please tell us your name and address, and then we have to swear you in.
Sure. Forrest Boychuk, 35 Orchard Drive, Queensbury, 12804.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes.
Please tell us why you're here and we'll see what's
Well-
going on.
I'm here because I feel the assessment is a little high compared to the neighborhood, because it's all over the place. I mean, from the beginning of the street to the end of the street. The closest to mine would be, let's say, 19 Orchard Drive. They are 3,093 feet, mine is 3,081 feet. Their new assessment is at 124.89, my new assessment is at 136.81. The only difference,
You're talking about price
Mrs. Ross made a statement that the other home is a contemporary, mine is a ranch. Basically, contemporary and ranches are the same. They're single level. The roof structure may be different, but that's it. Then I'm going to go one more home, which is an all masonry home, and that's 7 Orchard Drive. That house is 4680 square feet. They're assessed at $86 a square foot. All masonry versus mine being a wood. Why the big difference? And we have the same with 2-story homes. The house across the street from me is older, is assessed higher than the brand new house on the corner, 35. So assessments are going all over the place.
He's talking,
But
he's talking.
there is nothing that's standard. So we're taking each house individually. Why?
We are taking each house individually because we have to do individual appraisals. We don't say everybody goes up 10%. He's talking the assessment per square foot. Obviously, the bigger the house, normally the assessment per square foot goes down a bit because of economy of scale. He has a ranch. I would only had looked at ranch sales for him. So I don't look at colonial sales for him or split level sales for him. It's only ranches. People want ranch sales. He has a beautiful home. You have the comps in front of you that I used. He only went up $7,800. He went up 2%. He was at 413.7 and now he's at 421.5.
Oh. What would you like to see as the total?
He said
Well,
he-
I would like to see
He
it
has it on there.
I would like to see it go equal with the neighborhood. I would be happier with, let's say, 390.
390.
No.
Would you sell it for 390?
Well,
Would I?
Would you sell your house for
you have
390?
put down 400, so.
Well,
Yeah.
let's go 400. But I'm just saying, if I rounded it off, if I took my square footage and went to 19 Orchard, I would come out to about 380.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, but then there are other comparisons, 2-story colonials, and you've got 2 neighbors side by side, colonials. Why is one a much newer home, at least 15 years newer, assessed more than the brand new house? The brand new house has a 3-car garage. So I'm saying the neighborhood is all over the place as far as assessment goes. And the best is a 4,600 square foot, one level, well, no, it's a split level, I was told. But it looks like a ranch from the road. because it has a common roof. But it's a split level, but and that's 4,680 feet, and they were assessed at under $75, while I was on the old assessment at 134. So it's double. Mine was double. And I'm just saying, everything isn't normal. That's my only complaint.
Time for rebuttal.
No, I pretty much already said my thing.
Okay.
I would have looked at ranch sales for them. We don't look at assessments to put on another assessment. We don't look at a set price per square foot. Yeah, I can't use the same price per square foot for a 2,000 square foot ranch as I do for a 4,000 square foot ranch.
It has to be.
It's not a specific,
value.
it's not a specific science,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But it's not a science to not have all of us at an equal rate.
You can't be at an equal rate. You can't be at an
But
equal rate.
Why are you penalizing me for being a wood structure versus a all brick house that is less than half of my assessment? Is that fair?
No.
No, okay. That's the.
That's not how we value property, sir.
Well,
We don't say everybody's at $200 a square foot and go with that. People are built at different times. They're built with different construction quality. There's different amenities, bedrooms, bathrooms.
Mrs. Ross, directly across the street from me,
Mm-hmm.
a house that was older than mine is assessed
What number is it? You keep saying
32.
numbers, I don't have these numbers.
32
32.
versus 34.
32.
34 is a three-car garage.
32 is a colonial with 2,400 square feet. You're a ranch with 3,000 square feet.
How about 34?
34, Sean Kennedy. His
Yeah.
assessment's $491,000. You're at 420. This is 3,890, he's a colonial, and he has 3,898 square feet, and he's at
Yeah, he's
490.
much larger.
He's 49,
Yes.
491,400, yes.
Yeah.
You
But
can't
I'm going-
look, you can't look at
But
the
I'm
price
just
per
saying,
square
those
foot.
are neighbors, I'm just using them.
You can't look at their price per
If I
square
were one
foot.
of them, I would complain fiercely because the man directly across the street from me is paying more per square foot. It's a lesser
Sir,
home than
sir,
Kennedy's
sir,
on the corner.
You don't understand the economy of scale. I can't say everybody that has a 3,000 square foot house in the town of Queensbury is going to be assessed at $200 a square foot. Whether they're a ranch, whether they're a colonial, whether they were built in
Okay,
1970, whether they were built in
But my next door neighbor, 19,
2000.
is my closest comparison.
Okay, I'll look at 19.
19.
Glad to look at 19.
They're 10 square feet larger.
They're
And they're about the
3,093
same
square
era,
foot. They're
and your statement
contemporary.
was,
You
he's
have a finished
contemporary, I'm a
basement.
ranch.
Well, that's what we would have looked at to put the assessments on them.
What's
We
the
look
difference
at
between
sales.
contemporary and ranch if they're all on one floor?
I can't tell you.
What is he assessed at?
19 Orchards assessed at 386.3. We would have looked at 4 contemporaries for that assessment, and we would have looked at 4.
Did you
Obviously, have
redo
their
that
ranches.
assessment, or is that an old one?
Oh, no, they're all new.
They're all new?
Yeah, he went up the same percentage as Mr. Wojcik. He went up $7,500 at 2%.
But the point
That's what
is-
he went up.
Can you tell myself and the board, what is the difference between contemporary and range?
It would have been, and during construction, someone went out there from the office and said, this is a contemporary, this is a colonial, whatever.
The only difference, contemporary may have a slanted roof.
This does have a
Or mine is
slanted
a
roof.
equal roof.
You're a ranch.
But it's all on one floor.
The good news is, the increase in assessment was $7,000.
Yeah.
So money-wise, it's not a big deal.
Mr. Vargas, you're right, it's not a big deal, but we're all not, I'm looking for equality, where we're all pretty equal.
Everybody's trying to do that.
Well,
So
but I'm just trying to say, why is one neighbor so much higher than the other?
you're enlightening us now.
But Mr. Wojcik,
Go ahead.
what we're charged with doing is putting market value on the property.
Agreed.
Can you sell your property for that?
Would
420?
I?
Could you?
Could I?
Could you?
Yes,
Okay,
I could sell it for that.
okay.
That's why assessment is market value, what you can sell for, what somebody's willing to pay for. It's not based on,
Somebody else's assessment.
yeah, your neighbor, or it's based on market value.
So what your argument, I think, is that the other ones are too low?
Well, and I'm too high. At that point,
No,
I'm too high.
no. What they're saying though, if you think its market value is fair, that 421.5, then you're not too high.
Right now, the market value, right now, the last couple of years, the market value has been a little out of proportion, out of scale, all over the country. So it's not only Queensbury, but it could be Florida. I mean, they're
Yeah.
going up and down all over the place. If I had to sell my house, yes, I could turn around and sell it for whatever the assessment is very, very easily.
Probably get 450.
Oh, yeah, I'd say, yeah.
We're all capable of getting more money, right today, in today's economy, but in '08,
The other thing is because it's a ranch. Ranches, people they're very popular right now too.
true.
The type, so
True,
the type
you're
of house
right.
you have is,
But so is the contemporary, because that's all on one level. That's my discrepancy between my house and my neighbor that is rated as a contemporary. I'm a ranch, but we're both on one level. He's larger and he's much less than I am.
But a lot of people don't like a contemporary because they have to decorate contemporary, they have to, it's a modern structure, and a lot of people don't like
The
it.
interior,
It's not as
no.
popular.
The interior, you can do anything you want.
yeah.
The interiors, I'm in the home furnishing business also.
I know
So
that,
you can
but I'm in
do,
the real estate business. I know
right, that's
what's up.
fine.
Is your house, what year was your house built?
87, 88,
87.
87.
87, and what about the contemporary?
Let me see. What number,
They-
19? Was that 19? Rothstein, 19?
Rothstein, yeah. They were before me.
They were built in 86.
Yeah.
They have electric.
1 year.
In when?
They
They have
electric
electric
heat.
86,
Yeah,
1 year.
it's a Drawback too.
But I'm just saying, so they're both equal. But his roof line, he has a slanted roof. But we're both on one level. He may have a higher ceiling than I have in that one room where the roof goes. But we're still basically looking comparable homes, square footage.
I understand what you're saying.
Thank you for coming in.
You're quite welcome.
Board have any more questions?
No.
Thank you very much.
We'll get through it and we'll get back to you.
Okay,
Thank you. Have a good day.
thank you, and you too.
The next one's a phone call.
Well, that's phone call. Okay.
This is Rainbow Trail.
This is,
This is
What's the address?
Kenyon, off Kenyon?
It's Elkie, well, we have Elkie Canyon 71 Rainbow Trail.
Is this a water issue?
They haven't talked to them, I'm assuming, but they didn't call me to,
Did they turn in a form and what they want?
no,
Do they
Nope.
know they have to?
because I haven't talked to them.
Okay.
So they didn't call ahead or they just made an appointment.
so this is Hoff Canyon? Is it, we're doing now?
Yes.
This is 71 Rainbow Trail.
Okay.
And it's a Cape Cod built in 1994, 1,651 square feet. Its assessment went up 7%. It was 211,200, and it went to 225,800. You'll see the comps in here. I'm going to have to tell this person that they need to fill
The water
out.
issue when you did this?
Huh?
Did you consider the water situation?
No, because I did these numbers. Remember, I did these numbers before
Yeah.
any of that.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yep. So I will call this person. not good.
That'll help. We need an IT person?
Yes.
Peter's in the back of the room. I think
Did it unplug again when you put it down?
should snap in.
I'm not an IT person either, but. Oh,
Oops,
this
sorry,
doesn't have the thing on
it doesn't.
No, that's your problem. You're having a problem.
Well, that,
Which one?
yeah, that one, the first one, yeah.
He could sell that house for, he had a-
Are we off the air?
Try it now.
We're running the air.
Try it. I'm gonna hold this, just see if you can have it on or no.
No, it would light up.
Steve?
See, this one does, oh, this one, what, can you switch the ends? I wonder?
Go off the air.
Okay. This is Terry Ross. I'm the assessor from the town of Queensbury.
Hello, thank you for calling.
No problem. I have the board of review here. The chairman
Okay.
is Stephen Borges. We have Susan Monahan, William Mason, Joan Jenkins, and Scott Sorger. and we're here to talk about your home at 17 Rainbow Trail.
71. 71.
I'm sorry, 71, I misspoke.
Yeah.
71, and Mr. Borges will swear you in, okay?
Okay,
Good morning.
good morning.
Do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
I think I heard you, but it was not very clear. So,
Can you say it louder?
Do you solemnly, I forgot you're on the phone. Do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
yes.
Thank you. Please tell us why you're filing the grievance form, what you're unhappy with.
I was made aware by one of my neighbors who had already filed a grievance that you are about to assess the value of my home, and I agree with her sentiment that in the current situation, with our water issues, that perhaps an accurate assessment of this home cannot be done at this moment.
Okay. I know there are concerns out in that area, and I know that there are some sales in transition. At the moment, what do you feel the good value or the fair market value of your property is?
To be very honest, I would say that it is probably, well, I guess it depends on what, do we mean the fair value market at what it will sell or at what you would assess it?
The fair market
both the
value,
same.
what you think it would sell for now, the fair market value, considering what's happening with the water and whatever else that you know about.
I honestly cannot tell you because this is all new to me. So I don't know, what a buyer would, think of, this situation, whether, they would say it is below what it is currently, assessed for, or whether it is the same, or I don't know. I honestly, which is what I'm supposed to do, I honestly cannot tell you what I think the value of this home is.
That's a very good point, and I think everybody's probably in the same boat. Under the law, we have to ask you to put a number on it, what you think would be a fair market value. Now, the board would then, and you have to write that down on a piece of paper, and our Board of Assessment Review will consider what you put down plus all the information that we have and we will be getting the next week or so. We have to let you know, though, we cannot come up with a number that's any lower than what you suggest or what you believe is to be true. So if you're uncertain, it'd probably be a good suggestion to put in a lower number rather than a higher number. A higher number would stop us from going any lower. A lower number, we could always come up a little bit.
Okay. What number do you have currently for the assessment of this home?
$225,800.
Yeah, and I was thinking it's probably more around 210.
Okay, is that what you want on your form? We'll put it on your form for you.
That would mean that after we do all of our research, we cannot assign a number any lower than 210.
Oh, well, then, again, I mean, this is a tricky situation.
It's a very tricky
Because, I mean,
situation. Two
yeah.
of us on the board now are real estate people, and we have licenses. And we will, under our state law, we have to notify people who are looking at buying properties that have clouds like this one. We have to notify them of the situation, so that it's going to be very difficult.
Were you one of the wells that were contaminated, ma'am?
No.
No. Was yours tested?
No. Yes.
Yours was tested?
yes, mine was tested, but we were also informed that, this could have been a fluke. You know what I mean? That we were going to be retested and that it could very, easily be contaminated the next time that they tested.
Okay.
So, I don't feel like, this was, a 100% accurate, result of, of the testing of my water.
Correct, okay.
So I have to give you a number now.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Sometime during
Just Summer,
today.
just a number that you think. And be conservative.
And you don't have to do it this very minute. If you want to wait half an hour,
Yes, he does.
get back to us, that's all right.
yes, yes, okay. I would much prefer that if I could do that because, I feel like, I'm literally put on the spot, literally and figuratively. So yeah, I would like to
Think about that. I'm going to give you a phone number to call in my office, and you'll just need to call before 4 o'clock because after that, no one will be there. It's 518-761 8244. And just,
whom am I asking for?
well, that will probably be Tammy, but anybody that answers the phone is fine. And you can just say that for 71 Rainbow Trail, you think the assessment should be on the form, and then whatever number it is.
Okay.
Okay?
We have her phone.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Does she have to sign this form?
There's no, they don't have to sign it anyway. They just have to put in that number.
Or she doesn't have to write it in herself?
We can do it. In this circumstance, with a phone appointment, we can do it.
Okay, good.
Okay, well, we're right on time.
We are 1 minute late.
Mr. McCormick.
I'm sorry. Please come forward.
Thought you said I was 1 minute late.
No, we are.
No.
I'm looking at the clock.
Sit here incognito.
While you're standing up, please raise your hand. Okay, good. I need to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the information you are about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please tell us your name and which property you're here to talk about.
My name is John McCormack, and I'm looking at addressing property 153 Equinox Drive, Lake George, New York.
There's this form. And he'd had an original number of 440, and after speaking with him, I reduced that to 425.8, but he wants to go lower than that.
Okay.
Was it just raised this year?
Yes, it was raised to 440 this year,
153.
and then we did it, I sent him a stipulation, I believe,
Yes, you do.
which he didn't sign, so really you're looking at an assessment that's 440 right now.
He wants to research.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right.
blueprint.
To start, I don't know if anybody's been in Courthouse Estates who knows the development, but the area that I'm going to be addressing primarily is Equinox Drive, which is this lower section. Should I bring it up?
Sure. Now that we don't need masks.
Yeah, okay. So this is Equinox Drive right through here. And there's 15 lots on Equinox Drive.
Where's Glen Lake Road?
Glen Lake Road is over here.
Yeah, way over.
Good. All right.
This property abuts the county center.
Yep.
County center right here. Okay, so I am here, lot 9, and I'm going to be addressing a few of the homes on this street. Quite a few of them, actually.
Is the one you're talking about this one?
Yes,
And that's where you live now?
153 Equinox. Yes.
And the other one is,
The other ones, there's a bunch of them.
Oh, okay. Oh,
That you're
you're
going to use for
addressing
comps.
all of these,
Yes.
all of these homes?
Are
You're
they all on
addressing?
Equinox?
Most of them are on Equinox.
I see
are
some on
outside
these
development.
comps, courthouse, are any of those part of that?
I'm sorry, say it again?
On some of, we see some of the comps here, I see courthouse.
Okay, so
Is
this
that
me.
part of the
This-
area?
This is not part.
Okay, so they're just comps, they're not part of
correct.
what we were doing.
Can we see that? Can we see that?
You have a picture on that list from the town. Here's another picture of the house in question.
This is your house?
Yes.
Beautiful house. Nice work.
They're all
You know anybody who built it?
How long, or when was this built?
03.
And you built it, did you? Have you been there since '03?
I've been there since 79.
Oh, okay. That's your area.
He's the developer for that area.
So the assessment that I'm addressing here is a 17.5% increase in value from 375 to 440, or a net change of $65,000. And what I'd like to do to start is show you some outside light homes in Queensbury that I believe are in my same valuation.
What's the size of that house?
Mine is a 2,400 square foot house.
1,926 square feet of finished basement.
You said 2,400.
2408 and then 1926 finished basement.
Oh, finished basement.
All basements are finished. All the ones I'm giving you are comps are all finished basements.
Okay.
So here is a exterior stone home in Queensbury that sold recently. Single story, square footage approximately the same.
347.
This has three and a half baths, 3 bedrooms. My house is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. This is another one, recently sold, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2,500 square feet. 100 square feet more than mine. Another one, Queensbury, 2,500 square feet with a pool, same size lots,
People want pools now.
until they don't.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Last one, 257, 2,500 square feet.
So these are all in different areas.
Yes, that's
How
outside
did you
Queensbury.
choose those? To be the comps that you?
Well, I'm simply showing homes that are in the same square footage
Oh,
range,
Okay, same square.
same square footage range, same general appearance, that first one being stone. My house is brick, that's stone. Lot sizes are in the same range.
Are they in the same school districts?
I'm sorry?
Same school district? Lake George? Are they in Lake George?
This is Queensbury. These homes that I'm going to show you next, which are much larger homes than my home is, on Equinox Drive. And I want to state for the record that when you look at these homes, you have to understand that I'm the guy that built every one of them. So my practice, Bill, my practice of construction is the same on every single one. It's the same material, same floor joists, same exterior, not sidings, but in many cases, most of my houses had half-by-6 cedar siding on it, which requires 3 coats of finish and a lot of fretwork in corners and trim work and that sort of thing. And I have a cost factor here that I can show that my cost to install wooden siding is the same as brick. I know people look at a brick house and go, oh, that's got to be a lot more than wood. That's not necessarily true, depending upon what you're doing with a wood house. And when you see these pictures, you'll see that there's a lot of detail in wood, which has an expense and a labor factor to it. But both of them come in around $14 to $16 per square foot installed. Obviously, you don't have to paint brick, but you have to stain. We stain all the homes with 3 coats, primer and 2 top coats. So that has obviously a value factor to it. This house here is on Equinox Drive. It has 3,175 square feet to it. There's 384 square feet of enclosed porch, 324 square feet of covered porch, and has a 600 square foot garage. This is 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths on a 0.9 acre lot. All the lots on Equinox Drive are approximately, the zoning there was 3/4 acre, so they might vary a few hundred feet one way or another. This house here today, by the town of Queensbury, has an assessment of $416,000, $416,900, which from the previous assessment is up by 3%. So take a look at this home.
That'd be an exposed basement, it doesn't matter.
These are full basement, finished basement.
Okay, let's talk about the basement. The town of Queensbury requires R factor on all basement walls in today's new building codes, as Bill would know. So what I typically do is I'll go down and frame all the exterior walls in the basement, 2x4 construction, insulated and sheetrock them. That is the beginning of the finished basement, because all your walls are now done. And rather than using a bearing beam, which most builders do to cover the span of the width of the home, I would use under a footing, a 2x6 wall as carrying wall as opposed to a bearing beam. Now you've got separation in the basement for rooms. Well, the next thing that happens is they get sheetrock and now they're all finished basements. So they all have finished basements, essentially.
We may not know if they're actually finished.
But they are. Okay, so here's the second illustration. This house here is a Victorian, it used to be my house. It's 2,783 square feet. There's 758 square feet of enclosed porch. It's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, finished basement. Its assessed value is $407,700. And again, remember, the assessment that I'm contesting here is $440,000 for a 2,400 square foot house versus this 2,783 Victorian. Same size lot.
Increases 3.
This next house is 122 Equinox Drive. I should have given you the addresses prior to that, I'm sorry.
That's okay, we'll see them when we review it.
Okay. This house here is 2,774 square feet. Got the 374 feet larger than mine. It has 4 baths, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, see-through fireplace, patio, finished basement. $371,700 is the new assessed value of this home. It's a 5.5% increase. I
Do you have the
keep
age of
reminding.
these, do you have the age of these homes?
Let me just say this. Most of these homes were built in a 10-year period. So they're in that range. I can't remember which one that one was, but
Right.
they're all within that 10.
So they're older homes than the one you're in now?
Yes.
Because you built, the lower level was built later than the upper level?
Well, there's sections 1, 2, and 3 in Courthouse
Okay.
Estates, right? So I did section 2 in the 70s, 80s.
Oh, okay.
This was in 90s and 2000s.
Okay. 70
This is 113 Equinox Drive. Let's see. I'm trying to establish the fact that whether it's a ranch or a colonial or contemporary, this would be a contemporary, whereas the first floor has 2,740 feet on it. The second floor is 832, but it's definitely not a colonial. It's assessed at $404,900 this year, and it has 3,572 square feet in it. It has an oversized garage, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths.
4,000.
It was Dave Kinney's house.
I haven't seen it moved.
Well, they turned it around, the new owners have turned it around considerably.
So actually,
The rest.
so
That
this is,
property sold in May of '20 for $390.
If you notice there, it
That's been
decreased in value by
decreased.
10%.
Okay, it's a decrease.
Have any of these others sold in the last few years?
This one next just come up, so I'm gonna give you now. So that was that one and this one here. And I do have one more. I've got it on here. This is my next door neighbor. We're on a cul-de-sac. This house is 3,876 square feet, 348 feet of enclosed porch, 3-car garage, 2 fireplaces, 1.7 acre lot. It's assessed at $398,000, $40,000 under me. Previous assessment was $374, increased 6.2%.
Is that 154 Equinox? That didn't sell.
I'm sorry.
158.
158.
158, I'm sorry. That one sold in March.
This is a.
That one sold in March 21, which I couldn't have used, for 443. 443.
Okay.
This is a contemporary
And
two-story.
we have to look at the value as of last July 1st.
Well,
Anything done
yeah.
recently as a perhaps is
What,
influenced by
158 you
COVID.
said sold?
158 sold for 443, just in March.
Yeah, but that was just now, just in March. Terry hasn't taken that into consideration.
Not to mention the fact that real estate has gone crazy
Oh,
since COVID.
oh,
And-
it's
and it's-
amazing
Yeah.
in this area. Just amazing. Wow.
Okay, so the last one for larger homes than mine, Tom's, is 1 Oops, I don't have a number on this one here.
What's the name, do you know?
It's a Donnelly that sold.
Is it on
It's right on
McCormick?
the corner.
It's on Equinox?
It's right on the corner of Equinox. First lot, actually.
Donnelly?
Donnelly. James. It's 16-1-.
108 Equinox. John Donnelly? James?
Yes, that's it.
A
So this
colonial
is a
that was built
colonial.
in 1992, 2,500 square feet.
2508. 404.7 is the new assessment. 2.5 baths, 4 bedroom.
This was 108.
No finished basement.
108 Equinox.
Went up 0.5.
Okay, now I'm going to show you homes on Equinox Drive that are very similar to my home in appearance and square footage. This is 114 Equinox Drive. It has 2,258 square feet, 64 square feet of covered porch, 288 feet of deck, oversized garage, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Very similar to my home in appearance, hip roof, brick,
Did you build this one as well?
all of it.
Okay, that's my next one.
Me and 3 other
Is
guys.
this a meeting?
That's what did the subcontract, and I built
At
it.
1 o'clock. It's 8 Dorset, yeah.
It's a beautiful area.
Okay.
So what was the,
Bill, do you have my picture of my home down there? Nice roof.
We do, yes.
Where's the back of
I'm missing the price of it. Where
it? All right, so
is it? No,
similarities.
Steve?
this is 351.
Steve?
This is his house.
Mhm. Yes, I know. 351.
Steve?
All right, this house is directly across the street from me. 154 Equinox Drive. It has 2,534 square feet. That's 134 more than me. It has 224 square feet of enclosed porch, 3 bedrooms, 3 bath. Assessment 389.9, and it does have a pool. Right across the street from me.
I'm not trying to hurry you.
built them, but were they
I'm not
close?
trying to hurry Mr. McCormick, but we have an 11:15 phone call.
For the
Or-
people
and
who
then-
bought
Oh,
the
I
property.
wonder where the person.
Then we
11:15.
sign the
Doesn't
home.
doesn't say, oh, it does say phone here, I didn't see that.
Stock.
Maybe he
floor
can
plan.
keep talking while he's
Everyone is
passing them
built
down.
from that first.
Okay. Yes,
I'm sorry.
We've got a phone call we have to make 11:15.
Okay.
Maybe you just,
Just sum it up, or you give them the stuff you need to give them,
I can't sum it up yet because I haven't done my argument yet.
but we only had 15 minutes.
or,
Oh,
well,
I'm sorry, I didn't know I have some clock.
Yes.
let's, normally we don't have an issue, but there's a phone call. Let's just put a pause to yours for a minute, if you don't mind, we should just be a couple of.
But then we have an 11:30 and 11:45,
yeah.
Okay, we'll catch up,
okay?
just so you don't feel worse. Okay, thanks, we'll just put this one on pause for a second. We still have to keep the thing going, but we'll come back. Need to do that. We've run over.
I don't have any material for him, this person.
We know where it is,
It's 8 Dorset Place.
8 Dorset.
8 Dorset Place.
8 Dorset Place. It went up 11,700 to 230,700.
277?
230,700?
230,700 is the assessment. It went up 11,700, 5%. I would call him. Ted's going to look to see if they somehow emailed or did something with their information, because we don't have anything.
That's around the corner from here. We used to get
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
I'm so sorry I didn't see that phone. I wonder where he was.
888-883-6 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi, Mr. Rowland. This is Terry Ross, the assessor in the town of Queensbury. We were supposed to have a Board of Review meeting, phone meeting with the Board of Assessment Review at 11:15. We're a little tardy in calling you. The problem is I don't know what this phone number is, so I'm going to give you my office number, 518-761-8244. And maybe we can postpone till this afternoon or this evening, just if there's any availability. Please call that number. We don't have any of your information. Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Terry,
I kept waiting for somebody to come in and I...
Dorset, is that the one off Crown?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
That may be a siren issue too.
I think I've met with them before, but I'm not positive. So I guess Mr. Cormick can go to 11:30.
Oh, we've got 5 minutes. Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
Okay, I'll speed this up here then. This is 139 Equinox Drive, 2301 square feet. See the facts on the bottom. It's assessed at 366. Just a little short square footage of mine, but it does have a enclosed screen porch of 200 some odd feet. This house here is on Courthouse Drive. Now, I did not build this house, but it did sell recently. And here's the square footage, and here's the assessment.
What did it sell for?
What's the location?
What's the location on this one?
I'm sorry, I think that's that's the assessment.
What was the address on that one?
226 Courthouse Drive.
What, ma'am?
26 Courthouse.
It's a ranch that was built in 71, 2,284 square feet. It sold in August of 20 for $351.
2,356 square feet with a pool assessment,
You've got 349.
361.
We have 349. It sold for 351.
Oh, 351.
I think 340, was that the assessment, Terry?
349.1 is the assessment. It sold for 351.
351.
Yep,
On Courthouse.
on Courthouse.
Yes, Courthouse Drive, right?
It's up Are you ready on this one?
And I have 114 Equinox back and 154, 150.
No, I mean, I just called him.
Was it this one that was sold? Or this one was sold?
I didn't have it. Last one, I never. That's perfect. What I did is I called, I left a message for him, called him,
Can't get my
Okay,
fingers to
so
it.
if we have an opening this afternoon or this evening, I'll put this in there. If not,
Originally,
you can send it in form.
49, it was sold for 350.
Oh, yeah, she says.
Well, you got it up here.
This one
Sorry.
was 360.
Okay, let's,
Okay, I'm gonna speed this up here now. Here's the two houses that I would use as my comp.
Okay.
can
So
speak
you
a
haven't
little bit
shown
louder
this
so we
one
can pick it
before.
up on the microphone.
Yes, that was,
Oh, this
We looked
one.
at this one.
yeah, just look at that one. Okay.
Okay, we just looked at that.
Want to be sure everybody on the end here, so please talk, maybe you better go back to your seat. Microphone.
389.
Well, problem is I've got notes on these.
So, okay, better take those notes, take them with you.
Yeah, we've seen all the pictures.
And this was the,
These are both on Equinox Drive.
Right.
This one across the street from me.
okay. This is Jessica Sapp.
Okay, so 114 Equinox, which is this house here, brick front, was 351, it was assessed at 345. So the increase on this house was $6,000 or 0.14% increase. I keep using that increase factor because it's so far off from all these other houses. They're so far off from the increase on my house. The increase on the house across the street was 0.55. And again, my house is 17%.
Can I speak to that
That's a
real
pretty
quick?
huge-
Sure, go ahead.
Just real quick, the increase was greater for him, let's say, because last time his assessment, we went to small claims. So it wasn't the assessment that I put on the property in 2018. We went to court.
No,
Okay?
it didn't. You and I said.
We agreed at court, but it was a reduction from what it was the
No,
first
we
one.
added $5,000 to it. It was 370, we added 5 to it.
It was a settlement at court.
We added $5,000. We didn't decrease it.
I didn't say we decreased it. From what it was projected to be in 2018, we decreased it to 375.
Okay.
Okay, so Craig Nolan's house is 2,258 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with 636 square foot garage, and a 288 square foot deck. If you put those factors together to a square footage cost, it's $155.66 per foot. That's your base number right there. You take that same base number at my house, which again, all the construction practices are the same, the materials are the same, the lots are the same. You take 2,400 square feet at that 155 a square foot, and you end up with adding a pool in for $5,000, which is the standard number for Queensbury, and shed and the oversized garage. That comes up to $382,584 for using that 155 a square foot number. If you take that same square footage idea with the house across the street from me, which is 2,534 square feet, assessed at $389,900. It has a pool, just like I do, same construction, same general appearance, hip roof, yada yada. You add the pool and the fact that he has 224 square feet of enclosed screened porch, the number difference is $378,600 at the same 155 a square foot. So I'm taking two houses that are the same, that are constructed the same, that look the same, basically have the same interiors, 2 bedrooms versus 3 bedrooms, all same finished basements. I come in at 440, and all these houses are in that 375, 380 range.
Let me ask you this question. Are all the square footages you're giving us excluding garages or including garages? Is it just living space?
Excluding, it's just living space.
Okay.
Because my restrictions in courthouse, you have to be 2,100 feet minimum square footage for one-story,
Living space,
2,400 for two-story.
okay.
So, again, I go back to the same thing. We've got 389 on a house that's 134 square feet larger than mine, still has a pool, does not have an oversized garage, but it might be older, but that doesn't mean that it's devalued. If you look at these homes, you can tell that they're well taken care of. So that's my layout right there. I'm
Okay.
showing you all these houses, the construction of each one of them. Here's 3 of them that are pretty much identical. Same square footage, same floor plans, blah, blah, same lot. And yet, of all the homes on Equinox Drive, other than this other home that has a different story to it, I have the highest valued home on the street. And yet, I'm one of the smallest houses on the street. There's houses that surpass me by 1,000+ feet.
We have your message.
Yep.
We will go through this, and we'll
Can
go back
I
to
give you
you.
any information, is there anything I need to give you?
Thank you.
Do you have his grievance form? You got his form, right?
You should leave those pictures of the two that are your argument. And I have the form right here, I
You
think.
have the form,
Right?
you have the amount he wants.
Yes, this has 375 on it, and that's the same thing. And then there was the two comps that you were using. Do you want to leave those with us?
I'll leave you mine.
He wants
Cut up one.
375.
375, that's what it was. Yes. Okay.
Thank you for building such nice homes in Queensbury.
Who has the file?
Well, it's true. It's true.
Okay.
Right.
You succeeded. We have a folder for this one?
Yeah, I'll get those back, right? I'll get those photos back eventually.
The photos?
Or
Did
not.
they get
We
them?
can give them back to him.
Do we give them back now, or at the
If
end?
you want to look at them,
I thought
you
we
can
should
keep 'em.
keep them to look.
We can keep them to look, and then we'll give them back to him at the end.
We'll keep them to look at, and then we'll give them back to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Jessica?
Sorry to be running a few minutes late.
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
We're gonna cut it off of your time.
Hold on.
We're not vaccinated, so.
Not
Pull down your
Okay.
mask. Thank you.
Okay.
Now you
They're
can
not vaccinated.
We're
hear
not
you better.
vaccinated.
But you can just pull them back up again.
Oh, okay. So when we're talking.
You're saying
Right.
they are not vaccinated.
Okay.
They have to follow the new set.
Yeah, okay.
Why don't you both listen to this and then answer? Do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes.
Yes.
And would you state your name and address, please, and then tell us what you're here for?
Sure.
I'll give you the grievance form.
Jessica Sankey, 18 Amethyst Drive, Queensbury, New York, and we're here to grieve our assessment.
I have two sets of the appraisal that he did, so.
And I am Peter Sankey. I live at 18 Amethyst Drive as well. I'm here for the grades.
This is a ranch that was built in 2019, 1,884 square feet. It has a 568 square foot attached garage. They do have some building permits out, but they're not finished yet. They have a building permit for a deck and an in-ground pool, but they were not included in this value.
You bought you built this in 2018, did you say?
I purchased the land in was it 19 or
18.
18?
What did you pay for the land?
37.5.
37, and how much did you pay for the construction of the house?
I built it myself
Okay.
and then sold it to her.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
And the current assessment is 359?
359.2.
359.2.
It actually went down from 2020 by $7,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 371, right? Yeah, okay.
No, it was 367, now it's 359 too.
360, okay, there it is.
Okay, please tell us what you'd like to say.
So the concept that we put together are mostly colonials because that's what's in our neighborhood is a house. It's a neighborhood of approximately, is it 40 houses in there, about? The first thing I wanted to say is that I noticed that all the houses in our neighborhood are listed under the Bedford Close neighborhood code, which I'm a little confused by. It's not Bedford Close.
No, it's just that neighborhood. Just that, your Amethyst and then all of Bedford Close is in one valuation neighborhood.
Okay. Because that seems a little bit unfair, only because if you walk through that neighborhood, obviously it's...
Yours is a little bit different, your land value is different, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then, so, the only other ranch in our neighborhood is slightly larger than ours, but pretty much everything else is the same, similar garage size. I think the most recent sale on that, though, it was 10 years ago, so, well, actually, 10 years ago it says 0, so I'm not really even sure what that was. Maybe it was a transfer of some kind, but it says estate. But anyway, that's the closest one in our neighborhood to compare to. The only other ranch, and like I said, it's 1917 square feet, which is slightly larger than ours, and that's assessed at $292.
And what's that address?
That is 26 Amethyst.
And that ranch was built, well, it's contemporary, but you can call it a ranch, was built because it has finished area over garage. So it's not, we consider it contemporary. It's not a ranch. And that was built in 2000.
And then the two other comps I had were colonials. And I spoke to a couple of realtors, and they agreed with what Lori was saying about how ranches are pricier than colonials. He gave me an approximate price per square foot over the last year, what they've been selling for, and it was, he said ranches were in the 200 to 210 per square foot range, and the colonials were about the 175 square, so about a $25, $30 per square foot difference. So using those numbers, just to kind of get a ballpark, 20 Amethyst is 2,500 square feet, which is what, 2,584, which is about 600 to 700 square feet larger than ours. If you use that $175 per square foot number, you actually come up with over $400,000 value price, and they're assessed at 303. Well, actually, it was 297 last year. It's going up to 303 this year. And then the other one I did a similar thing on was 7 Amethyst. They're 2,120 square feet. Both of these have more bedrooms than us. They have 4 bedrooms compared to ours is 3. I think the same number of bathrooms. Oh no, actually 2.5, which we're 2 full. Yeah. So they're 2. So they actually have more bathrooms as well. The second one is 2,120 square feet. So using that $175 per square foot number comes up to 371, and they're assessed at 277. So using the $200 square foot with ours, you come up with a number that's close to what we're assessed at. But comparatively, the assessed value is way off in the neighborhood.
Let me ask a question, Terry. When you do these assessments, do you start out with a square foot number?
No, we start out with an appraisal.
Right.
We look at sales as comparable to and you'll see them in front of you, as comparable to theirs as possible, hopefully in newer ranches, and ranches are being built all over Queensbury, so you have a abundance of sales, and look at what the predicted selling price would be for them.
So we're looking at the fair market value.
Correct.
What would this house sell for in today's market?
Correct. Well, I like to say 6 months ago, because it's been crazy in the last 6 months.
Right.
So I think there were, on their appraisal, there were 2 2019 sales, And then 2 sales just in the summer, I believe, of 2020, before it got really
September.
crazy.
August. and
Sale
September.
dates.
Okay, so it's more to it than just square footage?
It's not, we don't look, we don't even, we don't say, okay,
A lot of
things are
factors.
selling for $175 a square foot. That's not what we do. We do individual appraisals for each individual home, just
Yeah,
like you would
can't
get
really
from the
say that
bank if
because
you were going to
condition.
purchase your home.
Right, so I guess if that's what you guys do,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem like it's done equally over the whole town, so people.
Well, it would be done with sales. We don't use the same 4 sales for everybody. It would be a lot easier if we could.
No, I know, but.
So if there were 4 sales on one of those older ranches, that were probably not your 4 sales because you're a newer ranch. We have a ton of newer ranches selling.
Right.
That's just, it's not a perfect science.
No, I know it's not
It's
perfect
a-
science, but, I mean, this is a larger range. I know it's not as new.
What one is it?
What's that?
What number?
26.
26 Amethyst?
Yep.
But that's a colonial, right?
No, that's the one we were just talking about, that you called the contemporary.
Oh, it is a so I
Yeah.
would not have looked at ranch sales for that. I would have looked at contemporary sales for that
Right.
property.
I mean, the best way to value our property though is to compare it to the other ones in the neighborhood. So there's no.
Well, the ones that you're compared to, you just said you don't have any other really ranches in your neighborhood,
Right.
and none that sold. So it's hard to compare you to ranches in your neighborhood that
Which
didn't sell.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I totally agree.
So we had to go out, but it's still in the kind of that area the comps were pulled from.
Right.
It wasn't like we pulled from Masters Commons or the lake or Glen Lake. We pulled from that general area. I mean, we had Luzerne Road, Kimberly Lane.
Wooden Lane.
What was
Kimberly.
it?
Wooden Lane.
Wooden Lane,
That's
Off
Michael's
of Michael's,
Street,
right.
that new development.
right. It's off of Sherman Avenue.
But I mean, just looking at the house right next door to us, 20, it's a larger property, 1.32 acres compared to 1.1, and it's 700 square feet larger with 1 extra bedroom.
It's a
and 1
colonial,
extra-
it's a colonial.
No, I know, but.
But it was built in 1993, so it's 20 years older, or
But it-
more
but
than
it's-
20.
But it's well capped, I mean, the construction practices haven't changed drastically. It's not like something built then is that much different than what we built. In fact, they probably have nice.
They might be, right.
hardwood floors, and we have, composite, whatever, laminate, whatever. So, I mean, just using the numbers, I mean, that house should sell over 400,000 using the Realtor's numbers, and they're assessed at 297. So
There,
it
no, that
seems like
wasn't-
something's not.
20 Amethyst is assessed at 303,
Right, going up to 303, yeah.
right.
So it makes me feel like people who move are paying more of the burden than people who stay in their house. And it shouldn't be that.
You have a newer house, you have a newer
Right, but it
house,
shouldn't
it's a
be
different
assessed-
house. We wouldn't
To be
have looked
assessed
at,
$70,000 more for being 600 square feet less.
but it's also a ranch. Ranches are going for more. You just said you talked to a realtor.
I get
Ranches
that,
are going
and-
for more.
But that's the
than-
numbers I'm using their numbers.
But-
About $25 per square foot more.
That's not how we, okay. We can have a difference of opinion. That's not how we look at it.
Right, so, but the way that you guys are looking at it, you're making people who move and pay the more recent updated values, pay more taxes
You
than other
didn't,
people.
we didn't use your sale or anything, so, because it was a family sale, so
Right.
you aren't you're not being penalized for moving. You
But
have a new
are.
house.
See, but if these people were to sell their house today, the people who bought it, that you'd use the value of that sale likely, right? As
We would-
one of the
we-
biggest contributing factors, and they'd be paying a lot more the next day. So there's something not right with the whole system if we're paying $70,000 more than our neighbor that has a much bigger house just because we built our house sooner. It's not that much different than the house down the road.
But it's a colonial.
But the value is, what does it matter if it's a colonial? That's the value, you're talking about the value, right?
You're talking about the market
Right.
value. People are buying ranches for more than they are for colonials.
I get that, and that's the numbers I'm using. I'm using the numbers from Realtor.
But you can't, I mean, I guess that a realtor could give you a broad, 175 or $200 a square foot or something, but we're doing individual appraisals for properties. So we're not looking at everybody's using $200,
Right.
a square foot.
It's like I mean, you could be
There's two
taking
realtors right here.
a 40-year-old house that's a ranch compared to yours that was built in 18. And, it's just combination of all those sales and then divide it to get a number. You can't, that's not really a market value number. You have to look at sales that are, more recent, newer homes, newer ranches like yours, like she pulled, and try to get comparables. You can't really do it with a square foot price because you don't know the condition. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could have a house that's falling apart.
Right, but these aren't. This is a nice neighborhood. I mean, it's considered Bedford Close, so obviously we're not talking about dilapidated houses here. It's similar condition houses. That's why I'm trying to use what's in my neighborhood and use some sort of comparison to show that we're just paying a lot more than the rest of our neighborhood.
Right, those aren't sales.
And we're the smallest
You have to have
house. We're the
sales.
smallest house in the neighborhood.
Yeah, but you're not comparing it with things that have sold. I mean, maybe those people are assessed too low,
Yeah, they probably are. Right,
But we have to put the-
Right, and if there's a lot of houses like that in Queensbury, which that's the case I'm making here, is that there's a lot of houses that haven't sold for a long time that are way under assessed. So those people are paying a lot less of the burden, of the tax burden. And that doesn't seem fair, just because people have moved and are in now, you know what I mean? I feel like the assessment of the houses is not up to date, basically. And it penalizes us as a newer person because, it's just, that's.
What do you think you could sell your house for now?
I think probably around what that assessed value is.
Not what you're asking, what the assessed value is.
Yeah, probably around 350, somewhere in that neighborhood, I would guess. Although the house was for sale, before she bought it, I was trying to just sell it, and it was for sale for, I forget what it was. But we didn't get any offers on it.
Oh.
But it was like 325, 329, 330, somewhere in that range.
And
This
that
was
was
going back to early
That was a couple of years ago.
2019, yeah.
Things are different now. So you have to think about that, what you could sell your house for,
Right.
because that
And
is.
I agree, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at that when you're comparing the other houses. Like this house that's going up to 292 would sell for way more than 292. It would be up probably near where ours is.
Was that the colonial you were talking
That was
about?
the Contemporary, which is a ranch with
The
a...
Contemporary.
Yeah.
It's a ranch, yeah. But it would probably sell for that too.
That's what I would think. I mean, it's in very good condition. I've never been inside, but I mean, it's all the houses in the neighborhood are pretty much kept the same condition.
We'll look at it.
We'll
We'll consider it.
We'll look at it,
Absolutely.
we have to meet in private to do all that stuff. We'll do it probably next week before we meet, because it's Memorial Day weekend, somebody told me.
Our 15th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
All right.
So, like I said, I understand that newer houses, we should be probably paying a little more because it is newer, but I just feel like
No,
the range is just a little high.
We'll do
We
the best
talk,
we
we
can.
try to be fair.
everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for your time.
Next, please. Please state your names and address, and then I'm gonna have to swear you in. Okay, go.
My name is Robert Gay. We live at 16 Thistlewood Drive in Queensbury, New York.
And I'm Elaine Gay.
Oh, Thistlewood.
16.
16.
Thistlewood.
Thistlewood.
Okay, both, do you solemnly swear that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes, sir.
Yes and yes?
Absolutely.
2 yeses.
We don't have do you have the grievance form that you need to give him, please?
Did you get the address?
What's the address of the property?
16.
Thistlewood. We did get it. A lot of woods.
Appraisal. This is their home. This is the grievance form that's not filled out.
I have
You
one
have one
filled
filled out. Okay, I'll grab it for you. And you have something down on there that says what you think it should be.
You've indicated at the bottom of the form that you think the value should be, the assessed value of $398.
Yes, sir.
Okay. please tell us why you think that.
Well, my wife's done an incredible amount of work here, but I'm an owner of Harvest Homes. It's a manufactured, I think you lived in there.
We lived in a Harvest home for 33 years.
Well, I worked there for 40, and I now own it, bought it from the Woodburys, so I have some kind of an idea
Wow.
about what's going on with the pricing of housing.
Are they still making them in pieces and putting them up?
We are.
We still have pictures.
Mm-hmm.
The crane put piece together, it came with the windows and everything. It was
Installed.
fabulous.
We're still doing that and have been doing it since 1961. We got over 8,000, 9,000 homes somewhere, all in the Northeast.
You know how beautiful
We're
we're.
talking about one of those?
It is. Yeah, it better be, huh?
It was, it's a ranch that was built in 2012. It has 2566 square footage with a 1,600 square foot finished basement. Natural gas, central air, has a very large garage, 736 square foot garage, has screened-in porch, a pool, shed, the normal, and a fireplace.
You have that
3 bedrooms, 2 baths.
all-popular pool now.
It's not
We have
popular with
7
me.
Everyone
grandkids.
wants a pool.
7 grandkids, they like the pool.
Took me 2.5 hours to vacuum it the other day.
Oh, I'm still working on it. It's the grandkids' pool, and it's a kiddie pool. It's not a big pool. It's just a,
This is the assessed value now. It went up from
Do we
398.
have a picture anywhere?
They
Do
want.
we have a picture?
It's right on the, on the comp sheet, but I can show you, yes.
You got that.
Okay.
It's kind of a bad
Here.
comp sheet.
Steve? Can you see that?
No, I can't. Yep, it was dark, but now that,
It's vinyl siding, it has stone, it doesn't have stone on it, it's manufactured composite stone on it, so it's not brick. It's a nice home, I mean, we take care of it, it's just the two of us now, so we take care of it.
Yeah, we just have vinyl siding. We don't have.
do you have vinyl windows too?
We
Don't
had
have a
hard
spot for
time,
windows.
Like we just heard that last couple, we had the hard time finding comps because we built into one of the lots that was in the old neighborhood of Thistlewood. So all the other homes around us are 2-story colonials. So it was very difficult to find a comp
We had one
in our development.
ranch.
So anyways,
Read your letter. Start with-
I went outside and found out, you know, what else was out there, but I would just read a little letter. Dear sirs, because we are a newer ranch in an older neighborhood, we were told it was difficult to find comps for our property. After much research, I was able to find several ranches that sold within a 5-mile radius of us that sold for much less than the excess value placed on them by the town of Queensbury. And I've given examples, 25 Sheridan Lane, it sold $317.21, so it just sold recently. It sold for $395,000. The town assessment was for $462,400, so it sold for
That's
quite
a new assessment.
it sold for quite a bit less.
The assessment's 412.1.
Right, the new,
Could we just read this first? before you
Absolutely.
Jump all over us?
Sure.
24 Linden Road, Queensbury, that sold $924.20 for $385,000. The new town proposed assessment is for $466,100. 1011 Ridge Road, which, that sold 10/6 of 2017, so that's kind of an older one. And I think it was a family sale, but that's Joan Kubricki's old home on Ridge Road. That sold for $260,000. The town assessment is $307,700. That has 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths. And it's a beautiful home, you know Joan Kubricki's home. 6 Cobblestone Drive, Queensbury, that sold on, in 18 for $340,000. The town assessment for the 2021 is $331,900, but the comp sheet shows it was $465,700 as the new assessment, so I'm not quite sure how that happened. And then the newer home that we found was in 5 Browns Path, and that is up off of Country Club Road. It's the first house when you go in, and that sold $428.15. That's new construction, a little bit younger than our house. And the town assessment for that for the coming year is $431,100. Ours is at $462,300.
We're the smallest house in our development. And the cost of the area that we're in has something to do with what someone will come in and pay for. We look around the neighborhood, we know we have some people that are like us, they're pristine, they've got someone who comes and helps with the lawn, they power wash it every year, they do the things that you're supposed to do because, quite honestly, now we're able to. At one time, we were not. But when you look at the size of our home in comparison to those who are around us, the size of our lot, too, it's a corner lot, which some people think that's a good thing, but it's really not a good thing. Taking all those things into consideration, we're just kind of wondering, we're questioning what happened. I talked with a friend of mine, actually a friend of a lot of people, Ted Bigelow, and he said that the assessed value is averaging somewhere between 8.5 or 9 to 10%. And when we do the number of calculations on ours, it went up almost 14%. So I have just a little misunderstanding of how that works. She continues to want to call us our new home, but it's almost 10 years old. So that, and my water heater and everything else that's in there. And having propane, not natural gas, but propane seems to be a big boost because she brings it up that the comps that we've tried to compare with it are oil and not propane or natural gas. And so there are just a number of things as we're looking at this too. It's I'm a Vietnam veteran, so I was in, not just in the military during the war, but I was in the war, and grateful for a discount that we received because of a combat veteran. But it seems like when we do the numbers on our thing that I've lost that. It's now gone away. Our house went up 60.
64,000.
It went up 64,000. Now, pandemic has caused this movement from the cities to up into our area. The people that are doing that are more our age, so they're looking for ranches. But this is a phenomenon. By the way, I'm sitting here without a mask right now, so things are getting better. But when that happens, prices are going to come down. I'm concerned about it with my housing company as well, because they're going to be a big need that has now gone away, and the values are going to start to come down. I know, I think I'm hard pressed to understand why doing an assessment lasted 2019 because of a COVID. I think everyone was doing what she's doing right there. She's looking at her computer and assessing things. Well, when the value of my home before this pandemic happened and now what has happened with that, values have gone up. So the pandemic has already kicked me in a lot of different places, and it's now kicking me in my home as a retired man, a retired couple. And so we're taking advantage, it feels as if we're being taken advantage of because the values are higher because of this unforeseen circumstance that
Although,
happened.
just to interrupt you for a second, Terry talked to us yesterday and a couple times today. She has not done any comparisons of the current sales to the very recent pandemic sales. So that has not been figured in, is that correct?
We tried not to, yes.
She said she's tried not to. It went up $64,000. $64,000
September
is what it
20
went
is
up.
the most recent.
What, the proposed amount?
We hear you.
We hear you, we'll be talking
Proposed
about
sounds more like this is what it is. I've been through this already with her on the phone, we have. I've also sat here and listened to this gentleman talk about what he's going through. We look at what the assessed values are of some of the homes. And I know about ranches, and I know about contemporaries, and I know about houses. And when you're building a home, square foot number is what is used. When you're trying to, as a builder or a contractor, to try to calculate what it's going to cost to build the house. And so when I look at just down the street from us, and the house is almost 3,500 square feet, it's got a huge pool in the background, they've got a 3-car garage, they've got a shed, they've got all the same, kind of things that we have, and they're assessed for less than us. They have a larger lot than ours. It's hard to understand that when we built our house 10 years ago, that we built it, what we consider to be a modest home. It's fairly small. There are things about it that cause it to be, look if it's bigger, but it's on one floor so that we can get around. I built it so that the doors are wide enough so I can get a wheelchair through.
Exactly like with our new home.
That was good thinking.
All the doors are
It is
36
good
Very
inches.
thinking,
good
but now it's not good thinking, because what I should have done is built a two-story colonial home, bigger, and then be able to sell that later on down the road. It's kind of upside down for us. It's hard for us to understand. And then when you take into consideration all of the neighborhood that we're in, the age of the homes that we're in, when they drive into our neighborhood, they're not driving into, which she'll give you the numbers on, the statistics on all the other large Chestnut Hills and Bedford Close and all of those type of areas where these homes are, and that the assessed values in those homes are less than mine in a development that is nowhere in, we're not north and south commons up here. We don't have, it's not a large home.
But there's not a lot of ranches up there to comp it out to. But what I did was I went on the sheets that we were sent, and Master Commons North has 35 properties. 25 are lower than ours.
Assessed.
There's a ranch at 43 Commons North assessed at $420,000. Now, you've got Stonehurst and you've got Masters Commons. I mean, there's a big difference there with the style of life.
Yes.
Butternut Hill, which is a wonderful development, just south of us. They have 20 properties in there, 2 vacant lots. 0 properties in there are assessed higher than ours, and the highest assessed property in there is $413,600. That's the new assessment. When I say that, I'm saying they're proposed new assessments. So there's no properties in there that are assessed higher than ours. Stonehurst development, we are the highest assessed. Only 2 other homes are assessed over $400,000 of the new assessment. Windcrest Drive, you know where that is. There's 48 properties in there. There's 2 vacant lots. 43 are assessed lower than ours. Comparison, Stonehurst, Windcrest. We just don't get it.
You've done a lot of research. And then that's
I've spent
good.
2 weeks on this.
Well, that's the kind of information we need. We have that, has that been turned into us already?
I don't know if she gave it to you when you...
No, well, I didn't spell check, so if I've got some
Don't worry
letters
about
back.
spelling.
We don't care about it.
I'm an old teacher.
Looks good to me.
I've got another copy that's at home, so
Oh, good.
this is yours.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This-
we'd like to have whatever
This will help.
will help.
Thank you very much for coming in. We will get to this,
Can you give me 2 more?
Sure.
I wanted to tell you what the houses have sold for in our development.
Sure.
You have that list there?
Yeah, well, I have some that are sold in our
I know they're
development.
colonials, because that's all there are there.
And then I've got ranches that sold near us, but comps recently sold in our neighborhood. One was at 45 Glenmar. It sold on 4/1/19, and that was sold for $300,000.
What's it assessed at?
Whoa.
What's it assessed at?
I don't know, I'd have to look up.
All right, what's the next one?
The next one is, and this is 37 Stonehurst. It sold on June of 18 for $355,000, and it has 6 acres with it. It has 2,200 square feet. It has 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. I mean, it's a big home. Dr. Babet's house at 4 Thistlewood Drive sold August of last year for $300,000. Colonial. It's estimated at $286,800, so I mean,
Assessed at.
30 Stonehurst Drive, brand new house. No, that's not a brand new house, I'm sorry. That sold 1/5/21, so that just sold January of this year. That sold for $342,000. It's a beautiful wraparound front porch. It's a beautiful home. 3 Brookfield Run. I don't know if you know where Brookfield Run
Just
is, but
around the corner
it's a
from us.
nice location. It's 3 Brookfield Run. That sold 11 of 2019 for $324,500. 31 Glenmar, which is in our development up on the hill. It sold 3.5 of 20, so it just sold last year for $320,000.
I'll bet one of those are bigger than ours.
They're beautiful homes, but we only have one ranch in our development that's sold, and it's an older ranch. So we have the new baby, so it's hard because we just feel like, because we have a newer house, I've heard what these people said, we just feel like we're kind of being,
Well, it's not intentional.
I know, but it's 64,000 more. We have the smallest home, and we're valued to be the most expensive home in our development. And, if it, you can have everything,
you can have everything
and
here.
anything you've got there.
We'll give it all back to you.
Okay, that'd be great.
I've got them all labeled, and I'm pretty good about that.
That'll be good.
It's very helpful.
All right.
When we sit down, it takes us a while.
We understand that taxes have to go up. I also understand when there's 100, or 90 to 100% assessment of everything, that everything kind of floats to the top and that rates don't change
I'm gonna say,
very often.
I haven't looked at all the numbers, but.
They don't change by much, but when you're 4 or 5% higher than everything else in the whole community, and you look at assessed appraisals or values that the town has put on other properties, it just felt, no, it didn't feel, it was like.
There was a very large
It was a kick in the stomach. is what
Total
it was.
increase in the assessed valuation for the whole town. So it's possible the taxes won't go up much, if at all.
That would be
Possible.
wonderful.
That's possible.
But the pandemic had something to do with the numbers that we're at right now. They did.
Not with the numbers that you're seeing on the
If you
assessments.
had a ranch home that was bought after the pandemic, it had an impact on what they paid for.
Yes.
And those are what the assessed values are set on. It's
They
not on
have-
what sales
they
are?
haven't-
It's
they
not on
haven't been
sales?
used.
Not
They
since
haven't
the
been used.
COVID sale.
Yeah,
So you haven't taken any homes that
No,
have?
if you had listened earlier to me and let me speak now, thank you. I said that we tried not to use any sales after the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
Sometimes there was another sale
Ranches
because it was
started
really
going up
comparable.
before the pandemic, really.
They did, at 18
think
and
it's like-
19. And that's exactly why,
My generation, they want everything on one floor, and they don't want to live in a condo, so
Right.
it drove ranch prices up.
and as I told you last night, the last time we did this was 2018.
And then the pandemic made it even worse.
Right.
and
Was
they started going up.
2018, and then we have a contract with the state. Now, they wanted us to do this last year,
Yeah.
remember? And we pulled it back.
Yeah.
I pulled it back because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah,
But
they
this year,
started
we were
going
going to
up
be
a
down
few
around 90% of value, so that.
And I
would-
can remember when colonials were popular, and
Right.
you couldn't get rid of a ranch, It's like,
Sue is our in-house residential specialist. She sells a lot of residential properties. And how many years have you been selling?
47.
Yeah.
Kind of
Do you
quick.
have these comps in there that were sent to us by the town
Yes.
of Queensbury?
We do have.
Okay.
And I think the most recent one was September 2019. I'm doing
And
it.
2 of them have been sold since then.
Which
Since
was the
these
name of
comps, which was Linden and Sheridan. And both of them.
It might have been in the time I didn't want to use those sales.
Oh,
Would have been after summer.
Yeah, but.
Jerry already marked them.
Okay.
Terry already marked them, but then I looked them up and they've been resold, and it showed what they were sold for and
What
what
was
the
that?
new assessment is temporarily gonna be. And they sold for a lot less than what.
You have to look at condition too, though.
Yeah.
That Sheridan Lane was in rough condition.
Was it? Oh, okay. Okay.
Sue has probably been in every
I've
house,
been in them, yeah.
Yeah.
probably twice in years.
Well, that's why I hesitated to use the one on Ridge. That was because
Joan Kubricki.
because I know it
That
was,
was a mess. Oh,
well, yes,
it was.
but it's a beautiful
It
home.
was a heck of a
Yeah.
deal.
In its day, it was
Mess or not.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a beautiful home. But anyways, that's why I hesitated to use that one, because I know it was sold family-wise, and so,
Would only say though, that those 2 homes that we're talking about was our comp number 2 and comp number 3. Comp number 2 was assessed at $466,000 and comp number 2 actually ended up selling for $385,000. So if you're saying that you're not going into them, you have information that she didn't have, because she's not going into these. And the next one was comp number 3. Comp number 3 was comped at $462,000. It sold for $395,000. Those happened on 3.
What one's that, sir?
317, our comp number 3, do you have it there?
They have it.
25 Sheridan Lane is comp number 3, and 20.
Okay, let me just look it up. For the board?
This is the ones that were sent to us.
This is the
Yep,
ones that
it's
you
the-
sent to us?
Yes, they have them in front of them.
Yeah.
Right, and
Okay.
so they sold for 300, assessed at 466, sold for 385. The next one, number 3, sold at 395, and it comped at 462.
I don't, you don't, I think you're reading that wrong,
I think
because
you are
it's
too.
not the
I think
comp.
that the bottom,
The bottom number is what you would sell for. That's the
based on
prediction
that
of what
comp,
you would
that's
sell
what that comp
for.
is predicting your.
That's not their
sales.
assessments, or that's not their comps.
Okay.
I made the same mistake when I was
Okay.
doing the exact
So,
exercise you're doing.
25 Sheridan sold.
Yeah, I have
That's
all
what they
the,
sold for, I don't know if that's,
You might have the sale price.
I have all the
right.
sheets off the
But-
computer, and it told me it's like
Yeah.
121 pages, and I'm going, oh my God.
So they just asked about 25 Sheridan. That sold in October of 19 for 385. It just sold in March. I didn't use that sold, it's sale. It sold for 395. And their
What is the
assessment is
assess-
412.
412,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So that's a little high.
Thanks.
I'd be all right with 412.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, we appreciate it.
We're gonna take
Thank
a
you for your research.
We're gonna take a
Oh, here, I'll give you
45-minute
all
break, and
this
we start
stuff.
over for the afternoon.
Oh, gee.
Definitely.
Turn that. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got lunch coming up.
Yep.
so you're telling
1
me
to
that-
4 and 6 to 8 till 9.
See, I can do my job.
Long day.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's lots.
Your lunch should be here.
Got a tough job over there.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Don't I know it?
Over lunch? Yeah, me too. I'm thirsty.
It was nice not wearing a mask. Thank you.
Yes, it was. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful.
I'm thinking your lunch should be here. Yeah, you cut it now. Yeah.